a transgender. They eat the poo poo. They put the anal. They put the fist up the anus, and then they lick it like ice cream. They eat the poo poo.
They eat the poo poo.
They eat the poo poo.
You guys ever see that meme with Glenn from Walking Dead where he's like, "You ever just be walking with your boy and your hands touch and you're like, wow, that was weird, but I'm not gay, right? You are. You are gay." And it just ends, and that's it. That's all he says. Oh my god, dude. Oh,
why
we're
is it
live.
always
Okay.
Fucking verify. Hold on.
The big boy talking to somebody. Fuck you back.
Would you guys rather have penises for fingers or vaginas for ears?
Wasn't this like a pledge question?
It might have been, honestly. I don't know.
You
But
say a penis for fingers or a vagina for ears?
Yes.
Do you pee out of these?
Kidding me?
yes,
That's been a question since middle school.
And you have 10 of them?
you have 10 penises on your hands.
Do I
Are they
still
average
have my
length or finger
original
length?
penis?
What'd you say?
I said, are they average length or penis length?
They're the
Average.
size of your actual dick.
Yeah, size your penis.
Damn.
Okay, so finger length. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so finger. I got you.
So finger length, slightly smaller than finger
I'm
length.
gonna
Great.
finger bang you. Yeah.
We've been streaming for 69 seconds.
Ha ha.
Ah, this guy over here.
Definitely vagina.
Nine.
For ears.
No, see, because then you give somebody like the permission to fuck your ears. Or like,
yeah, I'm not.
or like your
Yeah,
ears
I'd
become,
rather be the one
or like
fucking,
your ears become a target for like more.
This takes
and-
fisting to a whole new level, you
like
know?
heinous sexual assault. If anything, like I'd rather have like dick for hands. Like he needs as like nunchucks, cock chucks.
Or you're the ultimate pleasure to you.
Do they have balls? Do these dicks have balls?
They're fully anatomical. Yeah, they have scrotums and everything.
Oh, then that's not okay. That's not. I
You
can't.
gotta be careful trying to pick up things, you know?
You just won't be able to pick up things.
Can we get off this topic? I sent the link out though already.
I say we keep it going, get the audience involved.
What do you guys think? Penis for fingers or vagina for ears?
Let's make a poll. We'll make a poll for it.
I'm not a moderator. I can't make a poll.
Oh, damn, that's crazy.
Chaz can make a poll.
How do you make a poll in the YouTube?
Yeah,
live
I can
chat?
make a poll too, bitch. I know how to do that. If I figure
It's
it
in
out.
your creator dashboard
You know what?
I gotta
You're
upload a
not
new
in my
stream.
creator
A
dashboard,
new
so
tab.
shut up.
or something like that, or YouTube Studio, whatever it's called. I forget what it's called.
YouTube Studio.
Okay, then yeah, because I know on Twitch it's the creator dashboard.
Oh wait, let me fucking tune in. Oh, 4 people watching?
Is it just 4 out of 5 of us watching it? Hey, thanks for coming, guys.
Oh, Anton, your friend
We're
Matt says
thanking
penis for
ourselves.
fingers easy. A man of culture.
Wait, what'd you say,
Your
Chaz?
friend Matt says penis for fingers easy, and I would put a man of culture.
I don't see that in the chat. But okay.
Yeah, I don't see it either, but he might have done it before we started.
You can't type in a chat if the stream isn't up.
Great success.
Should have chat, instant chat on. Unless you guys got that Walmart connection.
Hey,
Anybody check out Mankiewicz yet on Netflix?
the fuck is that?
About Herman Mankiewicz, the man who wrote Citizen Kane.
Yo, funny enough, I actually
David
just
Fincher
saw
movie,
Citizen Kane for the
bro.
first time. Oh, it's
Gary
called
Oldman,
Mank.
David Fincher.
All right, we all ready to start?
Yes, I am ready to start.
Shut up.
No.
Okay, now I'm ready. Bitch, 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 bitch. You guys are all bitches.
Why would you say that?
We have to fucking shout out George's friend on the show. He's fucking pestering me now. We'll do it at the end.
Georgie.
All right,
Where's
you guys
George?
ready?
Yeah,
5,
I'm good.
4, 3, 2, 1, go.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Super Screen Bros podcast. This is episode 13, the big 1-3. We are finally teenagers in this shit. Well,
You
I
a
guess
corny motherfucker.
12 is not a teenage age.
we're
the
13.
word
Would that
teen in
mean
12?
would that put us into 8th grade, right? Somewhere along the lines of that. Whatever. With us, basically just the usual crew. We actually have Jimmy on. I think you missed the last 2 episodes, so we'll start out with you. How you doing today, Jimmy?
Hey guys, I'm honestly insanely exhausted. my job's been killing me, but I do apologize for missing the last stream or two. But I am very happy to be back. Very happy to be back.
Yeah, you're not missing anything because this is the big 1-3. It's a
The
big
big 1-3?
podcast today. Big podcast because it's the 13th.
Big one.
With that, how are the rest of you guys doing? Let's go to Chaz. How you doing, Chaz?
I think somebody died at my job today. So
Oh my god.
I shit you not. Here's the story. So we literally had maybe
Time already.
we left at like 5 p.m. from like this nice older couple's house, and I shit you not, we're like 2 minutes off of their gated community, and our manager for the move today, he's like, "Can you guys turn back and pick up the so and so because she was left behind." We're like, "Why?" We're like, he's like, "Well, there's a medical emergency and we're taking somebody to the hospital." We get back to the warehouse. Turns out the dude's wife, who's like fucking 90, had like a hernia rupture. She started like throwing up and whatever. So like they had to like fucking take her to the hospital. So I told my boss I gotta bring in Dan Aykroyd for the shift tomorrow in case the house is haunted. I'm convinced this bitch is dying. Listen, it's the COVID time. She's going to a hospital. She's fucking 90. This move is stressful. But you know, besides that,
90, that's crazy.
yeah, it was a weird day. It was a weird Monday.
What year is that? She was born in 1950, right?
Wait,
The-
no,
wait,
that make
no.
her 70. She's over 90 years old. She was born in
1930.
1930. She was born in 1930. You're telling
Yeah.
me?
Oh, and she was a sister at FISIG.
Holy fuck!
Yeah, Jay and I, we actually found one of her like letter diplomas things, and like we recognized the letters. We had like a huge talk with her about it. Yeah,
Wow,
No,
she's
and-
seen some shit.
she.
You remembers
implied
college?
Yeah, she went to college. She implied that she was like she hazed a bunch of bitches. It was really funny. I'm not gonna lie. I was like really into the stories. And then
Dude, that
besides-
must have been in what the 50s, the 40s or 50s, right?
Probably the 50s.
Yeah.
Early 50s.
could be 60s too, depending because she was a nurse beforehand, so she could have been a nurse in like the war.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, no, I don't know if she went to school first and then became a nurse or vice versa. But I was gonna say besides that, you know, I haven't been doing much. I just started this new job. I was able to watch Big Mouth, the new season, which I'll talk about later. But I just been chilling. What about you, Anton?
I don't have a good story to follow up with like that. Wow. I didn't watch anyone die. I didn't meet any old ladies. But I did finish one of my final assignments for the semester. So that's my exciting story for today.
Woo! There you go.
Yeah.
That's
Fuck
we-
college.
we-
Congrats.
Me and Justin are wrapping up the semester, and that's about as exciting news as I got, other than watching new content, which we talk about at the end of the podcast. So I'll wait till then. For now,
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
And how about you, Bustin?
Hey,
Hi.
yeah. So it's gonna get a little dark here for me over the next week since I'm moving out of the 2i, the apartment I've been in for the last 2 years, and graduating, finishing. I have 2 more classes on Thursday. Me and Anton have this class at 8:30. We have to sit through the last couple presentations. We definitely got a 100 in this class, which is hilarious because
Fuck
we pulled everything out of our asses like very last minute, and somehow our presentations were always better than everybody's. It was pretty hilarious.
An A is an A as far as I can
Yeah,
tell.
and then for my film class, I just have to show up to that and just give my contribution to the conversations because it's like 80% of our grade, and having fucking one of our fraternity brothers write a paper for me because I just can't do it anymore. Give him nice
It's not
100,
something you should say.
giving him a nice $100, it's whatever. But I'm still gonna proofread and just do my own flair on it. But I'm really just ready to be done. It's gonna be dark leaving the apartment and everything, but I'm looking forward to moving on and starting
Who
my
just
life.
cracked the cold one?
Nice.
Me.
Is it a cold soda?
No, I have a beer.
Yeah, what you drinking?
Drinking
Semen.
Budweiser.
Nice.
Lean.
It's my day off, man.
Got that-
Tomorrow's my
got
day
that
off.
shit
So
beer. Who needs bougie
Yo,
beer?
so before we start, maybe I should let you guys know what I am working on at the moment before we get into the actual podcast.
Yeah.
I'm doing right now a documentary for my YouTube. It's actually about the fall of Fortnite.
The fall. I mean,
How can you
here's the
say
thing,
Fortnite?
though.
Dude,
but
Mando and
yeah,
Kratos are on it.
They just had a joke like the Joker and like fucking Poison
Nah,
Ivy.
dude,
You're going to DC.
It's more of an opinionated documentary for sure, but it's about how they've been selling out and veering away from what
Fortnite
originally
was better
Fortnite
way back in
was.
December of 2017.
So
Agreed.
I've been basically pretty much at least for an hour every single day playing Fortnite. And on days where I have a lot of time, I grind it. Because I'm trying to learn as much about current Fortnite as possible, but I'm also bringing on lots of different people who either currently play it or previously played it, and interviewing them on recordings, and I'm gonna put it all together and make a documentary type video about it. So if any of you guys played it and are interested, or actually play it right now and are interested, I'd love to have you guys a part of it.
Yeah, I'd be down. How many dubs you got so far since you've been
Actually,
playing?
right now I have 2 dubs.
They solos or
Dating back
They're-
to when?
one is a solo, and one is a squad solo that I was alone in.
Does anybody
Not
ever
bad.
play duos? Does anyone do duos ever?
I
do- I
actually
do 'em
prefer
out.
duos.
I played when I was heavy in Fortnite. I did duos.
Yeah,
Duos is
that's what I
probably
played.
the easiest mode anyway.
Yep, for sure. You got a teammate, but you also don't have to deal with 4 people, so it's nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not alone at the same time. You could be revived, and there's a lot of differences in Fortnite now compared to when I stopped playing in Chapter 1, Season 3. But I'm gonna be going through all of that, as well as like a deep dive on the history of Fortnite and what it was to what it became. So it's gonna be very detailed, but I'm looking for as many people as possible who want to be part of it.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I used to play. I was heavy from like season 2 to season 4. Season 2 was elite, man.
Yeah, that's why I played Fortnite. Was I started playing in season 2 and I fell in love with it, and then after season 3 I started to see how they were bringing in different elements of pop culture, and they were getting money from different studios to put
Yeah, and
other
that was
movies
really
and
the
things.
start to like mainstream battle royale games. Like obviously there were always like PUBG and shit like that,
Yep.
but like
And the whole thing
Fortnite.
is they kind of started to drop off and lose a lot of their numbers, and that's why they started to, in my opinion, sell out. And that's what it's mainly going to be about. And so I'll go into it, more in detail as I work on it more, and so you guys will get updates through the podcast. And so you guys will hear what's going on. Eventually, you'll see something within the next couple months.
I played Fortnite back when it was in alpha first, as the battle royale for free, and then I played it when the battle royale was in beta. And God, so
it's still in beta though,
no,
isn't it?
No, it's official.
No,
release.
not anymore.
Yeah,
Really?
it's
When
an
did they
official
switch?
release.
like
In Chapter 2.
yeah, like years ago.
Chapter 2. Is that when they changed the whole map?
Yeah, when they changed it the first time, they went off beta. They went
Oh,
to
I thought it
full
was still.
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
Thought
I
it was-
hated the game because when Fortnite was in beta, the Xbox One X just came out, and like they even had a performance mode, and I swear to God, it ran worse than a kid chasing the short bus. It was terrible. It got
I
me
have
so
to
angry
say,
playing that.
Jesus.
Now playing it, and kind of a little sneak peek into my opinion on the video, I hate Fortnite. I don't like the game, but I won't lie, I am actually having fun playing it. So, but the reason for the video actually had to do with the Marvel stuff with the Avengers and all of them when they were a part of it. I played the final event of the last season, and I was embarrassed for Fortnite for how poorly they portrayed the Avengers in that final event. And that's what really made me want to do a video on it, just to talk about how shitty they portrayed the pop culture that they're bringing in. They're not properly showing the Avengers. Their Tony Stark was he was okay, but then everyone else who was so hyped up this whole season, all these other heroes like Wolverine and Thor and Black Widow, in that final event, it was awful. Now, what Matt is saying in the chat, he's saying, any of y'all go to the Travis Scott Fortnite event. That's the part of Fortnite that I actually really like. They're bringing something very different into the game that you don't really see in other games. Having a live event over the course of hundreds and thousands of different servers of this game. And so that is kind of the elements of Fortnite that I do like, but they're definitely been veering from what they originally were and what they originally wanted to do because of their quick loss in numbers after season 3 in chapter 1. So there's a lot I'm going to be talking about when it comes to Fortnite, and I'm very excited to share this project with you guys.
Yeah, definitely keep us
Fortnite-
updated on that.
Fortnite
Sounds
to
awesome.
me was, I mean, I'm not a huge gamer, but Fortnite to me was at its peak in 2017, and I played it. I feel like before a lot of people. I remember I told a lot of my friends at school and at home about it. I'm the one who showed them Fortnite, and that was before like anybody actually built a lot. That was before Tilted Towers. There was very few towns on the island, and I thought that was the peak of Fortnite because it still felt like a shooter game. It still felt like you didn't have to rely on building. Now I feel like
I think Tilted was season 3 or 4. I'm pretty sure. I know it wasn't 2. Season 2 was like the Christmas one right after. Like that's when I started playing. I started playing like I think December 2017 actually or something like that when
I
like
feel like
it was
with
all
Fortnite
Christmas
now, you
themed.
need to be like a Lego master builder, like a certified like if you can't build on at least like an amateur like level, then like you can count winning out the door. Like it's just not gonna
Oh,
happen.
that's
You
so
need to
fucking
build.
true. I can
Back
literally.
back when I'm talking about playing, building was nothing. People never built. They made like one wall for a shield, and that was it.
I literally am at a point where I can get to like the top 5 in solos or top 4 in solos and sometimes top 3 in duos or squads. And then I die in that last like area of the game because I just can't build quick enough to get the high ground on these people. And so I'm constantly in creative practicing building, but I feel like I'm going nowhere with it.
Y'all ever see that video of the guy like he like hears a shot and then he just builds up in like 10 seconds all the way up to like the top? Like those are the fucking people that are nuts and make the game kind of shitty, you know? When you
It's
could fucking-
annoying when someone is that good at the game. I can't even keep up. How am I going to improve if like these guys are so unbelievably quick with how they're doing it? Like I'm getting better and better every day because I'm grinding in the free play, and I'm playing arenas with my cousin. He's teaching me about the game. He's giving me tips, and all of these things. Anytime
How
I
old is
play,
your
I
cousin?
record it.
May I ask?
He's 15.
Okay,
And
that's not
so,
bad.
Yeah, he's not bad, but he's actually pretty good at the game. He's knowledgeable about the game. But the reason I like to have him on is because he's not knowledgeable of the game from when I played. Like he didn't play during chapter 1, season 3. Like he played starting in like chapter 2 when they started to kind of sell out and bring in all this random garbage into the game. And so for me, he's like he knows a lot about the current chapter, but he doesn't really understand or know where Fortnite came from the way that I do. And so this is things that we've been talking about and things he's really interested in. He's actually going to be probably one of the main like I guess contributors to this video with basically between knowledge, training, and just insight on the newest chapter. Um, and then I do have a couple different people I'm bringing on who don't play Fortnite but used to play Fortnite. Like I have my friend Emily who's in the Space Camp Studios game affiliates. She's actually been playing with me doing some recordings for the video because she doesn't play it, but she's actually been playing it like the past week to kind of help me out with the video. So even if you don't play and you want to be a part of this video, like download Fortnite again, get in a game or two with me. It doesn't matter if we win or lose. The point is I really want to just hear what you have to say. And I have lists of questions that I ask people about, how they feel about Fortnite and how they felt about Fortnite and a lot of different things. So it's really interesting. And I also think it would be good for the podcast, especially if you guys
Yeah.
got on it. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I'd definitely be down to do that with you.
I play every
talk
day, so
after. Yeah, we can talk after about it once we're done here.
for sure.
But let's continue right along. And since we're on the topic of video games, I kind of wanted to bring up Cyberpunk 2077, which is coming out in 3 days.
Finally.
Yeah, right.
I'm still
finally.
skeptical. I think they're gonna delay it last minute for the 5th time.
After how many?
I've heard that a lot, so like I wanted to hear your guys' opinions on this game because honestly, I don't really know too much about it.
So
I just know
I'm
it's
in the
been
same
hyped
boat as you,
on,
Kevin. I don't
hyped
know
up for
anything
so
about it.
long.
all right, time to bring out the knowledge. So
I don't know
CD
anything
Projekt
about
Red
it.
announced Cyberpunk literally right after The Witcher dropped, and this is supposed to be like their Magnus
The Witcher
opus.
3, right?
Yeah, The Witcher 3, and Cyberpunk itself
So
is
how
based
long? Wait, tell me right now. How dating back? How long ago did they announce this game?
5 years
Wasn't
ago.
it 7 years? Wasn't it 7 years?
No, it's 5 years ago. It was announced right after The Witcher 3 launched in 2015. Um,
Wait,
so
The Witcher 3 was from 2015?
It was an
Yeah.
early 9th gen game. Yes, it did. That's
Ah,
why
Matt's agreeing with me. He's saying it's 2013, so I might be right here.
Cyberpunk. What?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they confirmed this is like 7 years ago from what I've been seeing in comments and shit.
I
like
also
that.
have
That's
heard the numbers,
2012.
but I don't
man.
know anything. So, but I
In
have
May,
heard. the numbers.
May 2012, January 2013, a teaser trailer was
That
released.
far back?
How did they release a teaser trailer 7 years
Before The
ago? And it
Witcher,
took
yeah.
7 years to make this game. What did they release in that trailer?
Wow.
What was in that trailer?
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
don't
I
look
know.
don't know.
it
It's
Yeah,
probably just it was probably just the name of the
yeah.
game.
So it's based
just
off.
like
It's based
Cyberpunk
off. I
2077.
think a book or a game of the same name. Might be like an actual board game. Like it's an actual property. The same with all the Witcher. It's an actual property. So the reason why this has taken so long is the Polish
Movie.
government actually gave CD Projekt Red a grant for this game. They're actually using brand new technology. Like you can literally like edit like the size, color, and like even add warts to your genitals. Like that's how realistic the simulation gets in this game. It's meant to be like be who you ever, and it's very experimental. And this is actually a case study in game design. This is the first major game like this that had to be developed on 9 different platforms. It's Xbox One S, Xbox X or Xbox Xbox One S and One S. So that's 3 Xboxes right there. S and Series X. That's 5 Xboxes right there. PS4, PS4 Pro, PS Slim, and then now PC, and then the PC derivatives as well. So there's 8 to 9 platforms of Cyberpunk. That's also kind of why it's been delayed so long, because the newer machines can run it easy. It's getting the old VCR Xbox One, like I still have it as a collectible now, or the base PS4 is getting it to run. That's
Yeah,
the
I
big
saw the
issue.
base Xbox One as well.
And it's one of those things where I'm very curious to see. I'm actually glad I get paid when the game comes out, so I'm gonna fucking download it on Steam like that night. I'm really souped for it. Not so much the actual story content, which I am excited you can play in first and third person. I want to check out this city. From a game design perspective, I'm really interested in seeing like a first person legitimate RPG like this. Like nothing really like this has ever been done before, and I think that's aside from the property, that's why there's so much hype. The fact that this is literally like, hey, you want to pretend you want to play Future, go right in it. Like this is probably going to be like, you remember how big GTA 5 was, not because it was GTA 5, but because it ended the 360 generation. I think that's going to be this game, except we're in a little more of a precarious place where it's ending a generation, but it's also kickstarting a new one, and no other game this year has claim to that title.
How good is it gonna look on these next gen?
Dude,
consoles?
I'm watching this teaser trailer. It looks mad fucking good.
Yeah, like it's
From
supposed to look really good.
2013.
I'm
This
saying,
game,
how is it gonna look on PS5 and Xbox, whatever?
it's supposed
the
to
new
run
one
in
is?
4K apparently, or
gonna
like
look
somewhere around there.
amazing.
That's why like I'm building a new PC next year just to run this game in 4K. It's supposed to be
Yeah,
super
dude.
resource intensive.
All right, that trailer actually got me kind of hyped. So
Keanu's
my
in it,
question
too.
is yeah, I know. Is it worth getting it on like the old Xbox One, PS4 platforms, or should you go and wait for the new consoles to
It
come
is
out?
worth it because if you buy it, you get the free upgrade.
Also,
is,
top-
is that for everything you're getting the free upgrade?
Yeah, so if you get the base Xbox version, when you upgrade to your Xbox One X or Xbox Series X, you get the upgraded version for free.
Interesting.
also,
See,
if you get
Well,
it
I'm
for
sorry.
PlayStation 5,
Xbox you do. PlayStation, I'm not sure because because Sony sucks cock with customer service.
I'm saying if you get it for PlayStation, it probably utilizes a lot of the new controller features, because a lot of games are designed specifically for that controller, whereas other games aren't. So maybe.
But you
it
have to
would be
remember,
worth getting for
Cyberpunk
that.
is a multi-platform game. It might have some features, but it's not going to be like Miles Morales or Call of Duty, where like they're paid to do that.
But isn't
you-
called? Oh, you said paid. Okay, I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
like remember, Call of Duty has they fucking jerk off Sony now, like they did with Microsoft back in the day, so they get all those exclusive things.
Yeah, regardless, I'm probably gonna get it on Steam. Is it? What do you get with the pre-orders? Is that even worth it?
No, you just get the fucking play as soon as it drops. I don't think.
Well, I mean, can't you do that like with anything? Usually pre-orders they give you like, I don't know, some skin or fucking guns or some shit.
I don't give a
Let
fuck
me-
about those
I'm
gimmicks. I'd
looking
rather
up
just
on
get
Steam
into it.
right now.
I know they tried to CD Projekt Red tries to limit that kind of stuff because it is gimmicky. Like with pre-orders with them, you legitimately get discount on the game. Like pre-orders for Cyberpunk were like $45-$50 up until now. I'd rather pre-order and get a cheaper price than get some fucking skin I'm not gonna use.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, right now it's always
Yeah, Matt
it's-
actually says that you do get the preload, so when it launches, you can play it immediately.
And I don't know if you guys heard their day one patch is like 60 something gigs or 50. It's like as big as a regular game itself.
Damn, dude. I'm looking into it now, and I think I'm gonna have to get it. But this sucks because I'm still trying to finish Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and the game is so fucking long that I'm not even close to done. I'm like halfway.
I'm like in the middle of Ace
Is it as
Combat
long as
7
Red
right
Dead?
now,
Long.
and it's making me
Mm.
hate Japanese games because they're just so fucking hard.
Well,
Yeah,
their
Jeff-
brain levels run at a whole different fucking.
like I
They're
thought
too
it was
smart.
like arcade sim fighter pilot shit, but then like there's moments where like if you fly into a cloud for too long, the moisture freezes your fucking plane, like the Iron Man freezing problem. So I'm like, why is this so realistic out of nowhere? And then I fucking crash into a mountain.
Shit, man, I might have to get this fucking game.
Cyberpunk is gonna be a big game. I'm
Yeah,
a little,
but
I'm a little
I'm
upset.
always skeptical getting games right off of release because half the time, with the
They're
bugs,
buggy.
they just suck. Like Cold War has had some huge problems with their coming out.
But here's
There's a really game breaking glitch where your whole Xbox will just crash randomly.
here's the difference. Call of Duty is a mass-produced thing that's on a tight schedule. This game has been delayed 5 fucking times to
Yeah,
avoid
that's
that
true.
reason.
Usually the games that are delayed like this
Yeah.
are always fucking.
What
They
were the
come out
delays for?
quality.
Just to like perfect the
Yeah,
craft, or
That
was there actual
specifically to
problems?
perfect the game. Like they've come out and said numerous times, like we want to release a good product, and I'm fine with that. I'd rather
I
wait
prefer
longer
that.
if that means I don't have to wait for the game to be fixed.
100% agree. I will always prefer if the developer takes an extra couple months, even a year, to actually like refine the game and make sure it's as good as it can be. Like I always think back to Assassin's Creed Unity, the game that fucking ended Assassin's Creed for me. I hated it so much, and just because of how glitchy it was, it took me out of the game. So
That game, it took like the 20 series cards for that game to run like properly. Like they still optimized it, but in order for you to like max it out on PC, you need like a modern graphics card. It's a very intensive game, but the reason for that, Unity is a little bit different. So Unity veered a little bit from the regular Assassin's Creed engine. Like you notice in Paris, like everything is fucking filled with people. That was something new for the engine, and that specifically is why that game turned out so shitty, was because they tried to overexpand the engine for the new consoles. But you know, surprise, the PS4 and the Xbox One were severely underpowered in 2013 for being next gen consoles. So
Yeah,
it didn't
they
work
were.
out. Like in order for you to play Unity properly, you really needed a PC.
it
And then
was
again,
so bad.
and then
It was
again,
so
the Denuvo, the fucking the DRM on there made it also unplayable too. I think the cracked versions of Unity were the ones that ran best for a long time.
That's honestly true. Like even like with a PS4 Pro, there were moments in Unity where things would glitch out and things wouldn't work, and I get stuck in walls. And years after the release of it, and all of their patch updates and everything that they did to make the game playable, it still was honestly a game that I had trouble playing and didn't finish because of that. And that was the only Assassin's Creed game to this point, other than the current one, Valhalla, that I didn't finish.
I played Unity I think a year and a half after launch on the One X, and it ran fine. The only thing I complained about was in certain parts when you're in Paris, like it would slow down the frame rate because there's just so many fucking people around. But that was really it.
Yeah. Ultimately,
Yeah.
the story was good, though. I really enjoyed the story of the game, but
Napoleon was
I had to-
cool.
absolutely.
I didn't
It
even
was
know
dope.
he was in that game. Let me
Oh
tell you.
yeah,
Yeah,
That's
he's
how far I got.
he's revealed like middle way, and then like he kind of comes in and out of the game. Like he's important, but like not that important.
I probably got through like an eighth of that game, and I was like, "All right,
spoiler.
yeah,
He's a
garbage.
Templar.
I regret buying this game." Dude, what the fuck, bro? I was gonna play that now.
You really think that Napoleon was a fucking assassin? Yeah, okay.
That's why he was exiled.
You never know what kind of twist can come in any video game.
That's true.
They can
That's
switch
definitely
his-
true.
They can switch history around just like Quentin Tarantino does. So
Yeah, but come on, Napoleon is a fuck. Is he like super? No, wait.
That would be
We
awesome.
didn't we discuss?
He's so
He's not a
fun.
short person, right? We discussed that.
He's an
Did
average height person.
Yeah,
today.
he's like our height.
When did we discuss that? I don't even remember.
Like a few episodes ago.
He was
Wow.
short compared to the people he surrounded himself with, and so to people who saw him
He was
in
short.
certain
Yeah.
situations, he was short. and that's how it
They're
gained.
saying-
In
Grand
Unity,
story.
they make him
Wow.
fucking tall. He's like fucking almost 6 feet tall in Unity for some reason. Like he's like your
Well, no, 'cause
character's height.
Unity-
You're like 5'10",
in
5'11".
Unity, he's his actual height, but so is everyone else. They're the average height of a person, which was around 5'8", 5'9". You know, someone who was tall was like 6 foot. You didn't have these 6'7", 6'9" guys walking around, and so he looks short, or he looks like normal compared to you. But when it came to the generals and the commandants and the people that he surrounded himself with through history, they were all tall and buff and brutal looking, kind of to, I guess, toughen up his image a bit. But all it did was actually make him look short and small when he was just average.
You know
Fun
my biggest
fact,
gripe with
the
Yes, sir.
average NBA player is 6'7". Just wanted to.
my biggest gripe with Unity is that for a game taking place in France, why does everybody have a goddamn English accent?
Because we're English. That's why.
Like even Napoleon has a fucking English accent.
If you wanted to,
I can actually
if you
explain
wanted to-
this.
All right.
So, in history, they actually discussed this a lot on AMC when I watched Turn. I watch all the behind the scenes. In history, accents actually change dramatically very quickly. And it's believed that across Europe, most people in Europe actually had more of that English sounding accent.
So when did the French get sinus infections?
It started to change when their country did a dramatic change, ultimately where Unity takes place in the revolution, and they started to really become who they are now. If you look at Unity and you look at the game and how the people are and, you know, what they're doing, it's very English in a sense. Like, England had a huge hold on everything that was going on in the world pre-American Revolution. They were the monarchy. And so you found English roots everywhere in the world, whether it was India, whether it was Australia, America, France, you know, even countries like Germany and Poland had English roots and little things going on. But the biggest thing to know about all of this is we have no idea what anyone sounded like before the invention of the microphone, basically. We don't know. We don't have any proof. And so all we can really gather is
The same
what
thing as
they might
pictures.
have sounded like from the language that they were using and how that language would have sounded based on how it was written. And so ultimately, like, English people 300 years ago and French people 300 years ago could have easily sounded very different from what we portray them as today in movies and video games. It's all subject to the language that's written on paper because that's all we have.
In order to spike the English, we will talk in an accent that makes our voice almost unintelligible. That will surely show them.
Yeah, it showed them, all right. It became the butt of England.
All right. Well, I think we talked enough about that. Let's move right along.
Aren't we a movie podcast?
Yeah. Speaking of,
We're an
Speaking
entertainment
of,
podcast. I will
wanted
defend
to-
this. We are
shut up,
entertainment.
Anton. I'm talking here. I
That
wanted
is
to.
disrespectful.
I wanted to throw a shout out to Mr. Elliot Page for officially coming out. Congratulations to him. It's pretty cool. I think it's awesome seeing the comfortability that he has as an actor and coming out officially as a he, you know. So I don't really have much to say. I just wanted to congratulate him, and it's definitely a cool achievement.
Anton, the
Snaps to
joke you
you.
made, in the group me where he just put a hat on. That's literally I've seen that 1,000 times online. Like that joke was
Obviously,
the
he's
headline for
going
so
to
many
go further
subreddits.
with it, but at the time, it's all he did. Yeah.
No, like I
Just
was
put a
in the
hat on.
car. I was in the car today, and the article popped up again. I'm like, damn, he really just put a hat on. But obviously, there's more to it than that. But I think it's just funny that like that's the big takeaway from like the internet.
She was
Yeah.
wearing a filled with
She
That
asphalt.
just shows how the
New
internet is
Yorker.
not an intelligent place, no matter how much we want to think
She
it
went
is. It's
dead
not.
ass on all of us.
What I want to see is now like what type of roles will she accept? Like, will she still?
Well,
do...
she's still playing, or he is still playing his
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
his female role, and I forget what show. This is a TV
Umbrella
show.
Academy.
Yes, he's still playing a female, which I think is actually throwing a lot of people off and has a lot of people up.
I
in
wonder
But I
maybe
also think
they'll
that's
make that
cool.
into a sex change, right? Couldn't that could be kind of interesting?
They could write
Yeah,
that
but
in.
see, remember what he's doing. He's playing a role, and the role
True.
character is a female, and so never mind what's going on in Elliot's life. That character, that's different, and so I actually like that he's continuing to play that role as a female.
Jimmy, you're right. It's what we call acting, and that's what a lot of people on the internet don't
What's that?
realize that they're acting. When they play someone with disabilities, when they play someone with whatever problems, when they play the opposite gender, they're acting because they act.
I'll never understand people who get in massive arguments over stuff like this. Like, uh, the latest controversy I can think of was Scarlett Johansson was going to play a transgender man, and people lit up the
Oh,
internet,
yeah.
and she left the project because of it.
What
But if
project
you
was this? What
It was
was
It was a
she was
biopic
just
or
going to play a
something like that, right?
transgender man. There was no premise about it. There was just she was going to play a transgender man, and people just fucking lost their minds. And look back to just not even 10 years ago, we had Jared Leto play.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up with Dallas Buyers Club, right?
Even
And he won
sooner
the
than that,
Oscar.
even sooner than that, you have Eddie Redmayne playing in a biopic about the first ever recorded transgender man,
And he
the
was
Danish.
Oscar nominated for that. Like,
Yeah,
it's just,
he was.
I
And
don't
even the year before that, he won the award for playing a man with cerebral palsy.
disability. Yes, exactly, and that's
I think
why
it's cerebral palsy,
I
whatever
don't
it
No,
was.
he had
I don't understand.
it was the ALS.
Yeah, Lou
Yeah.
Gehrig's. I just don't understand why people pick and choose these things. It really bothers me, and I think we should just get to a point now where, like, you know, acting is fucking acting, and if someone who has disability plays a role where it's required for them, that's great. But you put someone in the role who fits what they want. They don't have to have disability. Look at Tom Hanks playing Forrest Gump. That's just one of so many different
To be
examples.
fair, they
Dustin
they,
Hoffman
they
playing
left
Rain,
Forrest Gump's condition ambiguous. He's not outwardly special or like
but
disabled. It's just like implied.
That Tom Hanks does not have a mental disability. That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
Same with Dustin Hoffman, Rain Man. Like, there's countless amounts of examples of straight people playing gay people, playing transgender people, and vice versa. They'll look at Neil Patrick Harris.
Leonardo DiCaprio and Gilbert Grape is a good example
Or
too.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what
exactly.
Matt
Or
says.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh my gosh. With
Neil
Leonardo
Patrick Harris
DiCaprio in
gay.
that movie, people thought when he showed up to the Oscars,
No way.
'cause he was nominated, people were surprised that he was a regular person
able
without
Yeah,
any
people
that's
actually thought he was.
funny.
Yeah, people actually thought he
people
was
were
mentally challenged.
concerned because they thought he was actually disabled. And then when he showed up to the Oscars and he wasn't, people were like, "Whoa, wow!" People did not- he was also
20
unknown.
years
He's not
ago,
quite
that'd be
no
like,
one
damn,
knew.
this kid's fucking good. Now it's like this kid's fucking an asshole.
I just think that people pick and choose a lot, and it bothers me because I feel like some roles, you know, they just come and go, and then sometimes people just flip over certain things, and it bothers me. And I respect Elliot Page for not changing the role. Maybe he will in the future. If he does, that's whatever. That's his choice. I haven't seen Umbrella Academy. I definitely want to give it a shot. I've heard some great things.
It's not terrible. It's entertaining.
Gerard Way
would-
from fucking My Chem writes it.
Yeah.
Like I said, just don't like the picking and choosing. It really bothers me. Acting is acting. And same thing. Look what's going on with I think it's that singer Sia. She's making a film about someone with mental disability, and the woman who is playing the person with mental disability doesn't have mental disability, and is getting just absolutely, gaslighted on social media about it. They're
I
trying
didn't
to
even hear
boycott the
anything
film.
about that.
Yeah, they're trying to boycott the film and stuff. It's just, I really don't understand why some films get away. Actually, no, there's nothing to get away with, though. It's just like, I don't understand why some people pay attention to some film roles and films about this, topic, and some films just, get absolutely lit up. It just it makes no it just makes it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. It's an actor playing a role, whether the character has Down syndrome or whatever. If the person can act as what the director wants, let them do it. There doesn't need to be a huge controversy in anything anymore. So I'm all for that as well. Any final thoughts on this, or should we keep moving on?
Let's keep moving on. Congratulations, Elliot Page.
Yeah,
You did well.
yeah, definitely. I'm definitely interested to see what he'll be in later. So moving right along, let's talk about the Metal Gear Solid movie and my man Oscar Isaac, who I feel like is kind of blowing up lately. Like he's been rumored to become Moon Knight. He's working with Jake Gyllenhaal with the Godfather movie. coming out soon. So like I feel like he's been making like a really big name for himself after his time in Star Wars, which is awesome. So getting the lead in a movie like the Metal Gear Solid, like this Metal Gear Solid movie come out, I'm pretty happy. I want to see more about.
I can tell you this right
future.
now. This movie's gonna suck mainly because anybody who's excited for this, who's truly excited, has never played a Metal Gear game because those cutscenes are literally 4 hours long in between missions. There's no way you can fit a Metal Gear story in 2 hours. Like, no, I'm not even shitting you. Metal Gear Solid 4, Sons of Patriots, whatever it's called, has 4-hour cutscenes.
Like a cutscene for 4 hours, or like
No.
individual.
Like, I'm shitting. I'm not even shitting you. In between a mission, it'll make you sit down for 4 hours and watch it. I'm not even fucking kidding. Like, there's one that's like an obscene amount of time. Because like
So
the
it's a
thing
movie.
is that with Metal Gear is that these games are so dense. Like Kojima just packs so much into it that for years I have been so against the Metal Gear. Like, for example, in Metal Gear Solid 3, the system in the game is so intense where if you pick food off the ground, in real time the food actually spoils. There's a fight with Ocelot where you can either snipe him, or if you actually leave your game for like 3 days, like you just leave your PS2 off, Ocelot dies of a heart attack. There's shit like that where Metal Gear, like, depending how you actually play, the lore of the game changes. That's one of those things where, like, remember I was talking about last episode where video games really can't be translated well into games. Metal Gear is the prime example because literally how you play. Dude, one of the fucking bosses in Metal Gear Solid 2, you have to literally take your controller out from port 1 and plug inside fucking port 2 in order to beat him. I'm not even fucking kidding.
Are you serious? I never played.
Yeah, so I forgot which boss it is, but what he does is he fucks with controller port 1, and the game doesn't tell you. You have to, like, this was discovered by trial and error by some nerd, like when the game came out. In order for you to actually beat this dude, you have to put controller 1 into port 2 specifically. It can't be controller 2 into port 1. It has to be controller 1 into port 2. And then that fucks with his spell. And the game literally says, "Oh, you figured out my secret." Like, there's shit like that where like Metal Gear just doesn't translate. And what it's gonna be is probably Snake doing some Cold War Vietnam. It's gonna be a war movie. They're gonna really dumb this down, and that's why they're bringing in Oscar Isaac because he looks the part. But the movie is not gonna translate well.
Yeah,
into the game.
he's been like a fan favorite for the role for a while now. From what I've been reading, which is interesting. But I like going back, like, man, Oscar Isaac, I think he's got a big year coming up, man. I think he's gonna have a big year, like 2021, maybe 2022.
I'm not gonna say Oscar Isaac is slept on because I feel like you're right. He is very like not even up and coming. I feel like he's there, but I feel like a lot of people still just don't think of him when they think of A list. I honestly
Agreed.
I don't think he is in A list yet, but he's like he's between B minus and A, or B plus and A minus, whatever letter or number that would be. I feel like Oscar Isaac is sort of slept on. He's in a lot of big budget movies, and he's in a lot of small indie hits that are very successful. And people don't really like consider him and think about him too much. It's kind of a shame. I think he's one of the best actors out there today, and he's one of the newer actors too.
Yeah, which is why I'm kind of excited to see him in these in more things. You know, like I just listed 3 things that are being worked on just with him alone. I mean, granted, Moon Knight hasn't been confirmed, obviously, but he's been linked to it. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about him. Maybe Metal Gear Solid. It probably won't be good because it is a fucking video game at the end of the day, and they're almost never
He's
good.
one of the.
Was
Sorry,
it?
I didn't mean to talk over you.
No,
Ken.
you're good. I was pretty much done with my point anyway.
I would go as far as to say that Oscar Isaac is probably the best thing that has happened, or the best thing of the Star Wars sequel trilogy. He's the best part of it in all 3 movies.
Yeah, I like
Poe Dameron.
I didn't. Okay, so I think Adam Driver was probably my favorite. Within the 3.
He was so fucking moody for like 2 out of the 3 movies.
But that's the script, man. I think Adam Driver as the actor playing him, I think Adam Driver did a hell of a job in those.
I'm not saying I wasn't excited to see Adam Driver. I was very excited to see Adam Driver, and I think he did really well with what he was had to work with. But I just think the enthusiasm and the excitement of Poe Dameron really. I don't know. I just feel like he was the number one thing about those movies.
I question Adam
He
Driver.
never faltered. There was never any like just point in those 3 films where I thought man, Poe Dameron's annoying, or man, I'm not really feeling like Poe Dameron. We had those moments with Kylo Ren where it's like, man, he's moody, but Poe Dameron never got any of those points.
I always questioned Adam Driver's judgment. So in the Last Jedi, remember that scene where he's shirtless? And
Yes.
like, and the meme became, that was his
Yeah,
was his
yeah, I do
insistence,
remember
right?
that.
Like that wasn't in the script. The reason why that scene is in there is because, and I shit you not, you can look this up. He worked out extensively thinking there's going to be a crazy fight scene, and there really wasn't. So he demanded Ryan Johnson give him that weird shirtless scene, but he was barrel chested. So that's why it was so funny to make fun of. I always question his
I'd be
judgment for
pissed
that.
off too if you're signing on and you're expecting this fucking
There was
giant moment for
never
your
a
character.
crazy shirtless scene in Star Wars before. In fact, look at the most recent episode of The Mandalorian. Boba Fett has a fucking gut.
Does he really?
Dude, oh my god, Boba Fett.
That's actually kind of awesome that he has a gut.
Boba
actually,
Fett looks worse than Shark Boy does at fucking the new Shark Boy. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Like, Boba Fett has a legitimate dad bod. I was watching Mandalorian, and like, you see the armor, and the armor is like a good like foot and a half protruding from where his torso really is. I'm like, oh my god, they're really going for this realistic shit in Star Wars now.
I like that though. I like the fact that you can have
Actually,
an awesome
that I
character.
don't mind, especially with the Mandalorian. The armor is actually anatomical; like it actually covers vital parts. He looks like a regular dude. Like I didn't mind that. It was just so jarring to see. I'm like, oh man, Boba Fett's like chunky Fett now.
Chunky Fett. Oh no. Oh.
Sounds
A
like a
little
kind of
buff.
like chili or like some fucking like
Chunky
canned ham. I don't know.
Chunky Fett now in stores near you.
Like a fucking like cat food, chunky fat.
Sounds like an
Spam version
STD.
of Star
Chunky
Wars.
Fett.
Yeah, like
Oh, I call it
spam.
Chunky Fett.
Okay, moving on. The other thing I wanted to bring up until we get into more of like the things that kind of relate to one another, I guess, is so the Russo brothers came out and basically explained that they're trying to make a universe around the movie Extraction, which is the one with fucking what's his face, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth from Netflix. So they're starting to make a whole universe, I guess, out of it. And the only thing we really know is that there's Extraction 2 coming out, I think next year actually. So that's kind of interesting. I feel like it's kind of weird that they really
makes me
do they
worried
really
that this is
need to
gonna be
make
the
a
classic case of, oh, we did well with our first thing, let's do it again.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't even think, I mean, according to Netflix, it was actually their most watched original movie ever. So it definitely did really well, but like I didn't think the movie was all that amazing. I mean, it had some really cool shots, and like I remember vividly the one take was fucking awesome that they did. I think it was like 5-10 minutes of it. But like besides that, like I don't know. I thought it was just like,
A lot of
your
action
everyday
movies.
everyday action movie. I don't
people
need to
involved
see
with that movie-
another one, you know?
The people involved with that movie, the ones who made it, even came out and said, like, this isn't a good film. It was directed by a stuntman. The movie is not a good film by any means of the word, or just structure of a film. It's an action movie made for the stunts, and that's the highlight of it. So
Is this part Bollywood or something? Because a lot of the cast is like Indian.
Well, I think it's mainly filmed like the setting is around India. Like basically Chris Hemsworth's character, I think he's in some sort of Indian city, maybe I'm wrong, but like he's like there to try and protect them. I don't even remember this movie, to be honest. That's how much I really didn't care.
Oh, it's based
let's
on
see.
a comic.
He was enlisted to rescue and protect the son of an imprisoned crime lord. That's basically what the plot
It's
is.
based off the graphic novel Ciudad by Andre Parks. That's cool.
Yeah, and they already have a second one coming out, but I don't. How do you make a universe out of this? Like that's kind of where I'm a little skeptical with, Like, is it really gonna do that well? Do people really care about the Extraction universe and who's in it? I feel like they're gonna go down like a Call of Duty route into that kind of universe,
The only thing I
which
can
is
think
actually pretty
of-
cool.
The only thing I can think of is that they didn't cover everything in the original comic, and that's what I'm thinking of. Or like there's a sequel to it.
Well, they already have a sequel, but do they really need spin-offs? That's what I'm trying to understand. If this is a universe in the world of Extraction, what else do we need to know? What else is really like do we need to know? You know? Wow.
Maybe Chris Hemsworth's character is just Thor undercover. There is a comic arc where Thor gets amnesia and he becomes a lawyer and forgets he's Thor. It could be Thor gets amnesia after he's fat and forgets he's a mercenary.
Wow, I'm looking at the views. It got 99 million views. Bird Box got 89, which is second. And The Irishman really didn't do that well. It only had 64 million. Interesting.
The Irishman's it was a movie meant for old people on a fucking platform meant for young people. That's literally what the problem was.
I still need to watch
Justin
The
loves that
Irishman
movie.
again, just to like.
Yeah,
I
I agree. I do too.
I've never seen it.
I got kind of bored through it, man. Like it was slow. It's a fucking slow
It-
burn.
it's long, but is it on par with a movie like Goodfellas? Of course not. But the movie is so fucking smart. The script is just it's so quick. I think it's arguably it's up there with like probably top three most quotable of all of Scorsese films. I would probably say uh Wolf of Wall Street is by far and away his most quotable film. Then Goodfellas. Then I would say this film. It's a lot to
We're
get
gonna
through.
forget about The Departed.
The Departed, but The Departed though, I feel like for me though, Departed for me is my favorite Scorsese film. I think the funniest film by far and away is Wolf of Wall Street. That movie is just crazy, but I don't think there's as many. You got to watch if you haven't seen The Irishman. Watch that movie. That's all I'm really gonna say. The movie is great, but it's a lot to get through. There are a lot of scenes where you feel like okay, it's really slowing down, but it's just a very smart movie. It's a very, very smart movie. And
My
the
whole
performance
prob-
is just nuts.
My whole problem with The Irishman is that it was a good movie when I first watched it, but I watched it on a Monday night and then the next part on a Tuesday morning. So I need to watch a movie in its entirety in one sitting.
Yeah, I
My
did the
problem
same
with
thing.
this movie
Actually,
is that my problem with this movie is that I can't bring myself to watch it for the life of me because it's 3.5 hours. I don't know when I have that. I mean, I can't say I don't know when I have that time because I have all the time in the world right now. But it's just, do I really want to sit down for 3.5 hours and watch this?
You should.
I know I should. I love
nah,
Scorsese.
yeah,
I
I
love the
feel you
cast,
too,
but it's
Anton. Like,
that's the problem is that it's that long.
You'll sit and watch like 4 episodes of a show. It's like
No,
the
I
same-
won't.
That's
I
not,
won't.
we've gotten through it. We've chugged through several episodes of some show on Netflix or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is, it's worth it. I've watched
No.
the film in its entirety 4 times. Yes, I've watched it
Jesus
4 times,
Christ.
and I liked it better and better each time I watched it. It's an underappreciated film. Is it on par with other films on Scorsese's filmography, like The Departed and Wolf of Wall Street and Goodfellas? No, but in its own right, it's a very good movie. It's a very smart movie, and the performances are just great. Scorsese brought Pesci out of retirement. Like that should be enough for anyone to want to watch this film, and he's great in it. So it's just there's a lot to love about that movie.
Now, this movie is brings questions. Does the Academy just see certain directors and throw nominations at them?
Pretty much.
Because this movie got 11 nominations. I think it got the most, if not tied for the most nominations
I
last
think
year,
it's tied.
and it won zip. It won nothing.
Well, there was that was the last Oscars, the last Academy Awards was really a game changer when it came to nominating streaming content because the first big film to win was Roma. Roma, I'm pretty sure, won Best Picture. That was a
Wasn't that in
couple years.
2018 though? Wasn't Roma 2018?
Yeah, that was a couple years ago. Yeah, yeah. I'm
It
saying
didn't win
that was
Best
like
Picture, but it won Best Foreign Film and was nominated for Best Picture.
okay. Regardless, winning any sort of Academy Awards on that level is a game changer because of the fact that the Academy has been blatantly ignoring streaming content for a while, which is obviously going to change now with what's going on with Warner Brothers, and who knows what's going to happen to
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But continue.
what's going on with other production companies and their slate of films, because with Warner Brothers doing it and other production companies talking about it, it's going to ease up the the release schedule if and when theaters ever survive through all of this. And Netflix was getting to a point where they had to rent out. They were buying out like local theaters just to like show their films so that the Academy would be like, oh, okay, and since the film was shown in a theater, we'll consider it. But now that's completely changing, and The Irishman was a big step forward with that. And deserve 11 nominations? I'd probably say no. But also Scorsese didn't win his first Oscar for Best Director until The Departed, after making several different amazing films that deserved the Academy Award beforehand. So I don't think that they just threw him those Oscars, because they've been pretty critical of his work pretty much his entire life. But it's just a big step forward. Netflix is you're gonna see Netflix just like spitting out more awards. I think it was more about Netflix rather than Scorsese, just because Netflix has been fighting with the Academy for years to get their films nominated. So I think you're gonna just see more and more films from streaming.
And let's not forget, though, in 2019 had outstanding movies. So Irishman was up against a lot, dude. They were up against 1917, Ford versus Ferrari, Jojo Rabbit, like a whole, even Parasite, dude. It was a good year for movies. So
Didn't Parasite win Best Picture?
Yes,
yeah, it did.
First foreign
Parasite won a lot, dude. It won a lot of fucking.
Rightfully so. That was,
awards.
I went to that AMC Oscar thing. So AMC does this thing every year. Well, they used to before COVID, where they would show you all the Oscar Best Picture nominees across 2 weekends. And I went to the last weekend, and it had like 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, and Jojo Rabbit. And out of all of them, like I think Jojo Rabbit was still my favorite just for the ending. But
That's
Parasite,
my favorite.
Parasite.
I
was like,
love
what?
that ending.
I didn't know what to expect from Parasite. In fact, I thought it was a poorly timed release movie. Like, I thought Parasite was about a pandemic. I was like, wow, I'm like, these Asians are really tongue in cheek about their own situation over here. And then I see it, and I'm like, whoa, this is not what I thought it was. It was fucking incredible.
I agree. I was not expecting Jojo Rabbit. Well, I'm sorry. Wait, you were talking about Parasite. I don't know why I brought up Jojo Rabbit, but Parasite was really interesting too. I wasn't expecting the way it was going to go either. You know, like the whole movie, you're watching, like just the family and like what they're doing, like to kind of like sneak their way into high society, and then it just twists on you, you know, like without warning. The movie takes a complete turn.
See, I got
think
something different out of it. I like the fact that it was a reverse class study, where in most films like that, the rich are vilified, or where the haves rather are vilified, and the have-nots are the heroes of the story. But in this movie, it's like reversed, where like the wealthy people are genuinely nice, normal people, and it's the downtrodden, down on their luck people that are legitimate parasites, and it kind of raises a good question where. Is necessarily poverty the issue, or is the personality behind the poverty the main issue?
Well,
Because,
they also talk about how like you know how the mom was just falling for so much stuff. They
Yeah.
also talk about how wealth can make you extremely ignorant. Like they could have just easily researched this stuff, and they could have figured out that they were being,
I never even really thought about that. That's a good point.
Yeah, and on top of that, like the fucking lady's husband was in the basement this entire time, and the family didn't know either. Like, that's all. That's a point I never thought about now, connecting it. Yeah. The wealth really does make you blind to a lot of things, and especially the husband. He prides himself on like being like a smart businessman. He has a driver, yet he let all this shit go underneath his roof.
Yeah. I never thought about that. It is really ironic how
Parasite,
with that movie.
Parasite's one of the most masterfully, put together films I've probably ever seen in my entire life. I was blown away. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Like, after I finished that film, I'm like, that might have been one of the greatest films I've ever. It's not like it's one of my personal favorite films of all time, but
it's one. I would say it's one of the smartest films.
Yeah, dude,
with all the underlying meanings and things you could just grab, like just in the background of it.
Just one of those so well constructed and so tight. Like there's not a single scene in that movie that doesn't feel, and a single line of dialogue that doesn't feel,
Like
essential overall plot of the movie. And for me, you know how like halfway they do it purposely. The doorbell, when it rings, is exactly the halfway point of the film. And they do that purposely because the second half of the film is just a straight up horror film. And I thought it was amazing. And most films, when they do stuff like that, it can be very jarring. But for me, the thing that I liked Jojo Rabbit, but what threw me off is that something similar happens. We're halfway through the film when spoiler alert, you see that Scarlett Johansson, she's dead. She's like hanging from, the post or whatever. And you see the feet, and then it goes into all out war. And I just thought that whole twist in the film was extremely jarring and like really.
I don't think it was a twist though. They were alluding to the war for the entire entire movie.
But
I just think
they
that
never alluded that they were losing
and I get
the war.
it was Yeah, and I think
Yeah,
and
they
I
did. They dropped that like multiple times. I actually literally watched the movie. It was on like HBO like 2 days ago. I saw it, and like they drop it a couple times throughout the movie that like they are losing the war.
I just
Even Scarlett Johansson's character. Sorry, continue,
the,
Justin.
I think the tonal shift was just really out of place, and I get why they did it because they were taking JoJo out of his illusion about his environment and all of that. I totally get it. I just thought that it was really out of place and I didn't like it that much. It threw me out of the film. It was ballsy for sure, but I'm not the only person that thinks that. That's why it kind of got mixed reviews, was because of stuff like that. But a film like Parasite, they just did it in such a like like I said, a well constructed manner, and it blew me away. Absolutely blew my mind.
All right, fair enough. I mean, I'll be honest. Jojo Rabbit is literally one of my favorite films. I fucking love that film from start to finish. So I understand your criticism of it jumping. I don't. I kind of disagree though. I don't really feel that. I don't really think it like pops out at me or anything. I think it kind of flows throughout the movie. But like just going back to it, man, like fucking 2019 was so good for movies. Like we could even do a whole podcast on just them
On
alone.
par
Like,
with 2017 and 2014. All three of those years were like almost perfect years.
yeah,
that
and
came
here's
out.
another thing is like all of the movies they pretty much ended all perfectly. Like in 1917, the callback to the beginning of the film with I forget the actor's name, whoever plays him. How he just like sits on a
Unknown
tree and he
dude.
goes back to
All
sleep.
unknown dude.
Like a lot of those movies that came out in 2019 were all so well constructed. So I was so happy during those times, man. I watched the only best picture I missed was Little Women. I never saw that, but man, even Marriage Story. I fucking loved Marriage Story, and not much goes on in that
I
goddamn
fucking
movie.
hated Marriage Story. That is like the least realistic way a marriage falls apart. I hate you! Slightly slaps the wall. Are you fucking kidding me? That is such a bullshit way. No,
As time
fuck
goes
that.
on, a lot of people are starting to hate that film. It's really losing its credibility
It
over
is
time.
such an unrealistic portrayal of a failing marriage. Like and from a kid who came from one, like it aggravated me watching that. It legitimately.
All right, fair enough.
aggravated
Like
me.
you definitely have more knowledge on that fact than I do. But
It was like one of those things where like they really tried to lifetime and like make divorce like a palatable process. I'm like, no, that is not how it goes. 9 out of 10 times, couples therapy does not go that well. It was just such a weird thing, and like the only thing I thought was done right was like the mutual resentment between the two for each one giving up their opportunities. Like I guess that made sense. But like nothing else felt so realistic. I think Adam Driver was fucking terrible, and that like
really, no way. I thought Adam Driver was
it
great.
looked like Kylo Ren fucking grew up and married the wrong woman. That's exactly what that role was. He was so
Yeah,
fucking moody.
you just cut out. What was that?
And then like the scenes he was supposed to be angry. Like again, I hate you. Ugh. Like come
Damn,
on.
dude. I'll be honest. I'm in complete disagreement. I loved that scene. The fucking shouting match between Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver. I was like sitting back watching. I was like, holy shit. I really felt it. I mean, granted, maybe like because of your personal experiences didn't feel as real, but to me, I thought it was great.
See, for me, the
honestly.
reason why that scene didn't feel real is, I haven't experienced any of those things in my family with my parents. But the reason why that scene didn't feel real to me is because if you're writing and directing a movie on specifically a divorce and the process of the divorce and the before and after and the during of it, you kind of know going into it you're gonna have that one big fight scene in the movie. You know it, and so when that scene came, it felt like it was just happening because it needed to, because that's what type of movie it was. It didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel
Okay,
like they
I
were
can
really
understand
fighting.
that. I can
It felt
definitely
like,
understand
okay,
that.
like this is the scene that we're all waiting for. This is it. Like that's the scene that like you came for the movie. You came to the movie to see.
It
That's
also
that's where I'm coming
it
from.
also doesn't help. That's the scene that plays when you hover over the movie on Netflix, and like that's the scene that
Yeah.
was in like all the trailers. Like the money shot.
And at the Oscars, when they showed both of the actors, nominations, that's the clip they showed for both Adam
Yeah.
Driver
Well,
and Scarlett.
well, in that instance, I can understand because it's the Oscars, and that was probably their strongest scene together. So I can understand them showing that in the Oscars, but when you scroll over that on Netflix, that definitely isn't
Yeah,
the best. So
I remember I wanted to see the movie just for that scene actually because it was all over the place. I'm like, all right, let me give this a shot. And I'm watching. I'm like, yeah, this fucking sucks. This is terrible.
all right, fair enough. I mean, I definitely disagree with you, but I can definitely respect your.
It also didn't help that I
opinions,
saw
so.
Jojo Rabbit literally the day before, and then to see Scarlett Johansson in like a wonderful performance as that, and then just to see her being like essentially like a fucking emotionally battered woman, but like terribly portrayed in the next film. I'm like, oh, you just
Damn,
got
you didn't like Scarlett's
I
performance
thought she was, like, one
either.
of the
I thought
fucking
she was
worst
great.
parts. Oh my god, she just felt so fucking pathetic.
Damn, dude, I'll be honest. I thought both of their actings were some of the best in the year. I'll be honest. I really like both of their
They
performses.
both
I
fucking
thought
so
I thought
pathetic.
the character the character utilization and how they portrayed them really like kind of won me over for the movie. You know, I felt like the characters were the ones that were driving the movie, not the plot at all.
Adam
And so
Driver had Joaquin Phoenix running for his money for a minute there. They really thought he was
Yeah,
going to
that
snag
was
the
that was
Oscar.
bullshit.
I
I was watching. Oh, dude, I didn't even. I forgot the Joker was 2019 too.
And
Right?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah.
Once upon a time, we had. Damn, dude, it was such a good fucking.
I will say this about Marriage Story again. It's my last thing on it. Is that Laura Dern was the most undeserving.
100% agree. It should have went to Scarlett and Jojo Rabbit. That is my.
Oh yeah, I mean
opinion.
I agree with that 100%. Laura Dern did not deserve that at all.
It totally should have went to Scarlett. I completely agree, dude. Laura Dern getting that was like, it almost felt like just such a given, you know, like it was kind of aggravating. I feel like Scarlett was really snubbed
She
from the
didn't even
Oscars
do
last
anything
year.
in the movie. She just played a sassy and condescending like lawyer, which is every lawyer in every movie.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on from that. I don't even know how we got there, but so the other thing I wanted to talk about is Suicide Squad 2 is done editing, so that's officially done
Not
with.
Suicide Squad
bring
2.
up the Warner Brothers stories first,
Suicide
because
Squad.
that's actually part of that now.
Okay, yeah, no, we could, yeah. So, Warner Brothers announced that everything for 2021 is going to HBO Max, which includes Suicide Squad 2. What else does it include? Dune. It includes. I don't have the thing in front of me. The Tom and Jerry
Wonder
movie.
Woman.
Matrix 4,
Godzilla
like
Yeah,
versus
Wonder
King
Woman,
Kong.
Matrix, Godzilla. That's a big one as well. So like, so many high production movies just going right to the fucking
There was
stream.
actually an update
I mean,
that came out today. So it turns out none of the production companies were told about this. And now
yeah, I heard some of them are fighting back on it.
yeah, a lot of
it
them.
is
I think Legendary
well.
today, on behalf of Dune and Godzilla, are filing lawsuits. So only I think one production company was not even warned, just like, hey, we're doing this. And like now that I thought this was gonna be a good idea, and especially with movies like the Suicide Squad and the DC slate where they could really use the exposure. But I was watching Philip DeFranco today, and one of the points he brought up was, it seems like this was like a desperate thing from Warner Brothers, and I'm starting to kind of agree because one, they didn't consult anybody, and two, like for instance, Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman, this is actually important. So she's supposed to get $10 million from this movie. However, the stipulation is she would only hit the full 10 million if a certain box number was reached. But now that this HBO Max deal is a thing, that she's not going to be able to hit that. So now the speculation is HBO and Warner Brothers are going to have to buy out all those contracts like that, which could be in the billions of dollars. So now the question is, are they really saving money? And now people are criticizing them for just using this to save their investment of HBO Max. This is like a mess.
Also on
This is
top
an
of
actual
that-
mess.
Also, on top of that, Christopher Nolan is getting absolutely gaslighted on Twitter right now. If you want to go check it out, he just put his 2 cents into it, and he is saying that HBO Max is the worst streaming service, and that the decision makes no economic sense after Warner Media announced that it would send its 17 films directly to the streaming service. So, someone who wanted to care about the auteur and care about the art released his film during the middle of a pandemic, and it absolutely fucking bombed. I thought it was really stupid for him to release Tenet. I haven't even seen the film just because I've heard so many.
So it's been getting like better reviews
Yeah, I don't
now than
understand
it
that.
did originally, and I don't understand at all.
I don't know, dude. Like, listen, things change over time. Films that were hated when they were first released are now beloved. Like Fight Club is an example of a
Yeah,
film
true.
that absolutely hated. Time changes stuff, and maybe people are just rewatching the film and now starting to get a understanding of the film and
All the Rick and
appreciating
Morty
it. But
fans are trying to be
but
smart.
that's not what we're talking about. This should have been the main topic that we should have been talking about all night, because this is just the biggest fucking news. Because this is just going to change how we watch movies. Because this is, if you Anton sent it in the chat, Super Screen Bros chat, about how stock amongst all movie theater chains have just took a nosedive after this announcement was
Yeah.
out. And the fact that Warner Brothers and Warner Media did not discuss with the production companies about this, and now that there's lawsuits involved, and that even some of the actors, the leading actors of a ton of these films, are really pissed about it, just shows that there's a lot of pushback for this. Like, there's so many people on Twitter that I'm seeing that are just like practically advocating for the death of theaters. It pisses me off so much, because like I get it now. People can have like 80-inch flat screens with surround sound and all that, and like could watch films from the comfort of their own home. That's fine. But I still wholeheartedly believe that the majority, if it's only only by a small percentage, like 55 to 60% of people, would rather watch these big, huge blockbuster films in theaters. Like Godzilla versus Kong is a film that you should watch in IMAX. I watched Godzilla King of Monsters in IMAX, and it was fucking dope.
Yeah, I did
Those
too.
those are the
That
types
was
of
really
films.
fun.
Those are the types of films you need to see in person. Like I did see in theaters. Like
Or
I
even
just
like films like Endgame. Like Endgame would
yeah.
suck on a small screen the first time.
Come on, and like experiencing it with other people in the theater. Like I get that theater chains have to do something about cell phones and people causing a nuisance, and the cleanliness of theaters. I get that has been, even amongst people who love the theater, have been very expressive about these issues and concerns over the last several decades about movie theaters that need to change. Once we get over this hump with COVID, but I really hope that this doesn't mean the death of movie theaters. And Warner Media said that all these films are only going to be on streaming. They're going directly to stream, not only going to directly to streaming, but also to the theaters as well, that nobody's obviously going to see because of the pandemic. But they're only going to be on the streaming service for a month, then get taken off. Then there's going to be a 2-month like sabbatical kind of thing, where
That's
it's
so
like they're not going to
stupid.
be there. I get why they're trying to do it, because they're trying to limit piracy, and also for okay, so you want to do repeat viewings, you're gonna have to go to the movie theater to watch it. I get why they're doing it. I think it's just kind of stupid. You might as well just leave it on there. You already opened the Pandora's box there. You might as well just leave it. But I
Yeah.
understand that's their kind of way of like not completely screwing over the movie theaters. Like, but they're doing it regardless. They're practically putting in the nail of the coffin, but they're not completely hammering it down
I
by
think
doing a deal like that.
I,
And they
I,
said it's only going to be for 2020. So I think I'm scared that this is going to be the death of the theater, and I hope I'm wrong.
I know a report came out that like Warner Media is like throwing out $2 billion in like assets from these films just with this deal.
Oh, easily.
Even top economists are saying this doesn't make any sense. This is literally just a ploy to beef up HBO Max, and especially like, HBO Max is kind of a shitty service considering there's 3 different versions of a mobile HBO you can get, and that's
Yeah,
kinda,
right.
that's kind of the
And
point.
HBO Max isn't the good one. It's
Yeah, it's
HBO
HBO
Go.
Now, HBO Go, then HBO Max. Like that.
They disbanded HBO Go and HBO Now, right? They no longer exist.
Yeah,
Oh,
They're
they
I
don't
remember that.
exist anymore. It's all HBO Max.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. See that I wasn't aware of. But like, see, like if that confusion is still there, what do you think everybody else is? Because HBO Go was where you had to watch Game of Thrones like a few years ago. That was one of the
Yeah,
apps
that's
you
that's what I
needed.
was watching
Like,
it
if you
on.
open up the app, if you open up those apps now on your phone, that laptop, anything, your PlayStation, on the television, it'll say like, "Oh, we have moved all of our content to HBO Max. Get that."
It's one of those things where I think I'm gonna bite my tongue. I remember last episode I said that Disney is gonna do the same with their Marvel movies. I don't think so now. I think after seeing like this backlash, like granted it's a little different with Disney because they own most of their production studios, so they really don't have to fucking pay anybody extra. But like or like other services, and what's even more fucked up is Legendary was trying to sell Godzilla for 200 something million to Netflix, and Warner Brothers
Yeah.
blocked that deal. That's also why they're suing. So like if there's issues like that where some of these production houses try to auction off this movie somewhere else and Warner blocked that, they fucking sue. I think this is absolutely ridiculous. This right here will kill the theaters more than coronavirus.
For
So
sure.
do you guys
Oh,
think
man,
there's like a
that's good.
chance that they'll go back on their word and say like, yeah, we were just kidding. We're
No,
gonna
it's
go back to
not.
theaters.
like they've already put out this ad campaign. They are not. They'll maybe take a few of the films off, maybe, but I highly doubt they're gonna
The
pull
only
back.
I got
one
a
I
question for
see
you
being
guys.
removed is Dune, and the argument is actually a very valid argument. Is that Dune's
Not
supposed to
even
be a
Godzilla
franchise?
though.
What?
Not Godzilla though.
No.
You don't
So
think Godzilla vs Kong is?
I'm gonna keep it
It's-
real with you. Like the average
movie's
audience
gonna be
will not give a fuck about Godzilla. The thing
True.
is that
You're
with
right.
Dune,
You're right.
with Dune is that it's supposed to spawn a franchise and it's based off a hit book. And the worry is, will putting Dune on a subscription service first lessen the IP? Because for instance, like if you saw Dune on HBO Max, would you be inclined to see Dune 2 and 3 in theaters? Like that's the big
Yeah, it's
question. Because
true.
if one was on HBO Max,
a
why isn't
two-part
2 and 3?
Film. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? 3? Did they announce they're making 3? Because it's two-part
the whole
films.
plan is to do like a trilogy. Like that's the plan, apparently. And they're saying like Dune's supposed to be a multi-film thing. So like if the first part of Dune is on HBO Max but the rest isn't, does that devalue the property? Because like for instance,
How do they
I look at movies a little differently if they premiere on a streaming service as opposed to theaters. Like for instance, that's why like I kind of don't give a fuck about Falcon the Winter Soldier, because like it could have been a movie, but like the story probably wasn't good enough for a film. That's why we're getting a series. It's kind of like one of those things there. Like I look at it a little differently, and I think Dune won't. I know Dune's gonna be like a massive fucking film, but to the average moviegoer, it's gonna be like, oh, it's another film on this service. It's not gonna be like a thing you go see in theater, like Endgame was, like an event.
I got 2 questions for you.
Mhm.
One is about Dune. I'll ask that right now. That book is split into 2 parts. It was always intended as a two-part film, not 3. Do you know how they're splitting that up now into
I mean,
3?
they
Like-
did the same. Dude, Hobbit was 50 pages, and they turned it into 3 fucking films. They did the
I
same
know,
thing.
but
Hobbit really 50
Yeah,
pages?
The Hobbit's
Yeah,
a short
it's a
story.
tiny
But-
little book.
Dune was
They-
always intended to be a 2-part film. I've never heard anything about it being 3, so that's why I'm just very.
Wait,
Well, they
so is
did-
the original
well,
Dune?
about it.
Is there a
Yeah,
second?
no,
Is there a
the-
second to the
there's
original?
No, there's an original.
It's one
film-
book.
There's an original film that was one film that's absolute garbage, and is an injustice to to the book, because the book is considered not only one of the greatest science fiction films of all time, but one of the greatest fiction films of all time. Period.
Novels.
So with it being split into two parts, I mean they could easily do it just because of the fact that financial reasons. Look what they did with the Mockingjay. Mockingjay, the book is one book, and they split
Oh, it
into
is
2
2
parts just because they could, and they did it for financial reasons to make more money. So they're obviously going to do the same thing with Dune, because if the first film is a huge hit, which they're hoping it is, they're obviously going to split the second part into 2 parts just because it's Hollywood and they can.
All right, so
It's that simple.
I'm half wrong. Dune is gonna be 2 movies. and a
Mockingjay was
TV
not the only
series.
book to split into 2 parts.
So
Every children's book, action and adventure back in the 2000s was split into 2 movies.
Well, regardless, it's Hollywood. They'll figure it out. They're
So
going to do
Dune
it.
is gonna
They
be
did it with
2
Harry
movies.
Potter.
Sorry, what were you saying, Herbs?
Yes.
What's up?
Dune will be 2 movies and a TV series. That's what it's gonna be.
Really?
Well,
I
that's
think-
just
I feel like
weird.
it's not-
Yeah,
That is weird. That'll
independent.
yeah.
Yeah, so there's gonna be
go
the
to
2
HBO
movies,
Max
and
then,
there's gonna be a series produced about Dune at some point too.
So would that make sense to keep it on HBO Max then, right?
Well,
If Dune 1 would go to HBO Max and then the series is going to go to HBO Max, you might as well have the second one too.
well, I mean,
No, 'cause the series,
have,
you know,
have
is-
to, you have to figure the series maybe isn't connected to the books directly. It's supposed to be spin-off. Like for instance, like the Mandalorian. Why the Mandalorian works now is because the movies kickstarted Star Wars. It's one of those
Yeah.
things where I can see what they're trying to do here in the argument. Like, you want the theater to kickstart the excitement. It'd have been like if Harry Potter fucking premiered on Netflix instead of in the theaters, and then nobody would give even less of a fuck about Fantastic Beasts.
It's true.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point.
My other question back, going back is, now since Warner Brothers did this, do you think other the other top big 5 movie studios were planning on doing this and maybe aren't going to do it now because they hear about the backlash? Do you think they're going to
Definitely.
follow suit?
There's
Don't-
one film that's going to change all this. Tenet, obviously, seeing that, they realize that theaters just aren't worth it right now. And Disney's Mulan, where they had people paying more money on top of their service to watch that film. That movie didn't even break even.
Mulan was
One
a
movie that's going to
sabotage.
change it. It's Wonder Woman 1984 coming out on Christmas. If that movie is a huge hit, and they're even able to slightly break even with that film, which is going to be very difficult. But if they can get the numbers that HBO Max is thinking they're going to, especially after this huge announcement, because the reason why they did it is obviously to get more subscriptions at HBO Max. People already said, like, oh my God, this is going to skyrocket subscriptions. HBO Max has ridiculous content that trumps so many of these other services that have so much more. Like Disney Plus, all they have is the Mandalorian and these Marvel shows coming out, and all they have is just their catalog. That's all they got. They have no new content. That is why Netflix. It's going to be taking years for these streaming services to catch up to Netflix when it comes to original content. So once they see Wonder Woman 1984's performance, then these other production companies are going to sit down and say, okay, Wonder Woman 1984 was a failure. We are not doing the same thing Warner Media did. Or if it's a huge hit, then you're going to see every other freaking streaming service, maybe not releasing their entire slate, but releasing a huge chunk into their service. I
know
don't doubt that at all.
right now HBO Max has 9 million subscribers. In order for them to recoup the losses from all this shit, they would have to go between between the end of this year and next year, they would have to go from 9 million to 29 million subscribers. And that's kind of easier said than done for like a newish platform because, look at Quibi. That failed miserably. Netflix hasn't seen growth in that number since like their big boom. Same with Disney Plus. They had their initial boom and that was it. I'm a little skeptical.
Well, Quibi was
Quibi sucked.
that was no new content whatsoever. That was all original content, and the way they went about their campaign was like it was like snippets. It was like
Yeah, it was
supposed to
fucking
be
retarded.
for
Oh, sorry, Stu.
millennials and people and
How's
Gen
Apple TV doing?
I have no idea. I have no clue.
Yeah,
how the streaming
exactly, there
service
you
is
go.
doing.
Wait,
all,
quick poll. Does anybody here actually have Apple TV?
no.
No, I don't know anybody.
All
It's
I-
like free if you get
all
a
I
new
know
Be
that
on that well.
All I've heard that was good off that service was that Jason Momoa show and that Jennifer Aniston show.
Yeah, the morning show.
Frontier. Are you
Which-
talking about Frontier? The Jason
No.
Momoa show?
C. It's called
C,
C.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Frontier I think is actually on Netflix. Not sure.
I really want to get it for the morning show simply because that is the industry that me and Justin are in. Like that's our major. That's what it is. But
Fair
I'm
to-
not gonna subscribe to a whole service just for one show.
Yeah, but it's not just one show. And really quick, why don't we
One show
talk
that I'm
about
interested in.
Wonder Woman as well, since Justin just brought it up, because it's gotten some really good reviews that when it just came out. I think the reviews
I
came
am
out for early screenings like 2 days ago, and all of them have been pretty positive, pretty overwhelmingly positive. So
Which
kind
is
of
what
gives me a little more hope for the movie as
we
well.
want that because this is a film that's been delayed so many times, and obviously with DC not knowing what the hell they're doing, Wonder Woman is practically the DCU's golden child since it's critically acclaimed. Some people have called it the best one of the best superhero films of all time, and DC. This was at a time where DC
Whoa.
really
I didn't know
lot
that.
of
Wait, you're
people were-
talking about Wonder Woman 1?
yes, the first one.
I didn't know that.
And
Okay.
regardless of that, I don't think that's true. But
Yeah, it's a
DC,
bit of a stretch.
when that first film came out, DC really needed a win, and that was a win that they got. And their next obviously had to put a lot of work into it. And from what I'm hearing, it's great. I'm hearing even Kristen Wiig, who that was a controversial choice. A lot of
I think
people
we were all
hoping it-
skeptical on that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
lot of
I'm
people were
still
hoping-
skeptical until I see the movie.
a lot of people were banking for, and she was even campaigning for it. Sarah Paulson, I guarantee she would have been a fucking amazing Cheetah,
I
and
love
Kristen
Sarah
Wiig.
Paulson.
Kristen Wiig would have been a very was like on par with like someone like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor kind of choice, where it's just like very out of pocket, but I've heard very good things. And like I said, the success of this film is very important because if this film is as good as it is and becomes as popular as it is amongst the service, I guarantee you that HBO Max will hit that 29 million mark, especially after this huge dump of news with 17 massive blockbusters going on to that service.
I just
So-
want to point out into the chat that Matt said HBO Max may as well just be called Warner Brothers Max.
Yeah.
And that's kind of true, honestly. That's funny. I think that's a true statement.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about this because like Well, actually, the only thing I could see good coming from this is like one, more indie films are just screened in theaters, which I think is a good spot. Like I think AMC might just go directly to creators, and that's something I've been like thinking about for years. Where like obviously the theaters have
Would
been
would
so
that be good for AMC? Because when you have small like indie movies coming out like that, there's gonna be a lot less people that go to watch it. Only like the real diehard cinema like fans are actually gonna go see it.
all
You know,
right,
are they really
and
making a profit?
and if all the blockbusters are online anyway, nobody's going anyway. At least it's foot traffic.
Exactly. What else would they have? They might have
Yeah.
to make that switch because they don't have a choice.
And then
I
on
mean,
top,
I realistically, I don't think the theater industry is gonna be dead, but it's not gonna be anywhere near what it was pre-COVID. It'll probably be what Warner Brothers is doing, where it'll come out simultaneously in theaters and then
yeah,
and then,
but
streaming
Kevin,
service.
you have to think when you give somebody the option to be lazy, 9 out of 10 times they will be lazy.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. What I'm saying is that,
I
like,
get what Kev's saying. I think
with indie
theaters-
films, you probably have a better shot at getting people to watch them on a streaming service rather than actually having them go out of their way to go watch the film. You
That-
know?
That's
yeah,
also
Kevin's
think
right.
about
The
it from
theater-
think about it from independent, movie creators. If AMC went in that direction, you would have a different type of audience going into AMC watching movies. There are people that like specifically enjoy indie films versus these big blockbusters. And with the way that the market is looking for AMC and for other larger movie industries, if the money's not flowing in, then these bigger movie companies aren't going to be sending their films to these theaters that are barely scratching the surface or breaking. Obviously, COVID is affecting it, but think about what the world's going to be like post COVID. All these movies are going to be going through HBO Max and other streaming services like that. If large, movie companies and directors and things like that, if they start seeing, that money can be made that route because of how lazy people are, they may not want to go back into theaters, because at the end of it, it's all about money. It's all about the business. It's not about really what everybody wants. And if it looks like that the market is pushing in a direction to have these movies become mainly streamed things, yeah, you may see releases in movies, but it's not going to be to the level that it was pre-COVID. Things are changing, and AMC may have to push themselves into a direction like that just to survive.
plus
I
like-
think
Hearing
I-
what Chad said, I totally agree with it.
I'm with Kevin on this though. Like maybe AMC doesn't exist, down the line. That's sure as hell could happen, and movie theaters sure as hell are gonna suffer and almost be obsolete. But I don't think the idea of a movie theater, the movie theater industry, will ever be fully dead. I mean, look at radio. You still have FM and AM radio. When podcasts started out 10 years ago, and before that, people thought FM and AM radio was going to die, and that's still around, and that's really still going to be around 10 years from now. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. And also, same thing with
Yeah,
record
Chad's
players.
right. Chaz
What did
is
Chad
right.
say?
Chaz is right.
radio's
What? What
legally
did he say?
mandated to be around.
Yeah, it's not like a popularity thing.
Yeah, no, like
But we also still have record players. Everyone thought that was going to die, and that's a huge niche thing amongst people our age specifically. I mean,
FM
me-
radio is
last one-
mandated.
yeah,
Yes.
FM and AM radio is mandated. It's basic
You
communication.
need it for emergency services and things like
Yeah.
that, and so that'll never die. There's always money flowing into it.
Well,
It's
But
not like
is it,
movies, they're
are
not
they
legal.
specific radio stations?
yes.
Interesting.
I
Okay,
still
I didn't
don't-
know
I
that.
still don't think the movie
actually,
theaters are
Anton,
going to
to
die
counter your
entirely
point,
in
to counter your point
2007.
about records, look at actually, yeah, the radio's actually a fantastic point. Just 20 years ago, even as far back as maybe even 10, 15, you needed the radio to be a musician. If you didn't get put on the radio, now it's the exact opposite. I don't know how long you guys have had Netflix for, but I've had Netflix since like the very, very beginning, even when back when it was DVDs. When they first introduced streaming and it was free with the DVDs, all they had on there, besides like Adam Sandler films, ironically enough, was like indie movies, and that's what Netflix pushed. And now it's the exact opposite. Like we're seeing the industry shift, and I feel like you guys are having a hard time wrapping your heads around these big theaters like embracing indie films, because the reality is big theaters didn't have to. In fact,
Netflix had pornographic movies on at one
yeah,
point.
dude, Netflix had this film called En la Cama, and when I was a kid, it was a Spanish porn film. I remember this very fucking vividly because,
Oh, I
because
bet you do.
remembers that by name.
Because no, the reason why is, so shout out to Dimitri wherever you fucking are. We used to steal his Netflix account and we would purposely watch porn on it to get his mom mad. Like his recently watch was always like En la Cama, Cum Dumpster 4, whatever. Yeah, they had shit like that. but like,
What the fuck?
yeah, it
When
was
was
very
this?
weird.
What?
But
When did they make the change?
Oh, like as soon as people started realizing there was porn on it, like I shit you not, like one day and La Cama was there, it was on Reddit, and then it was gone. I shit you not, like it just disappeared in
Oh
one day.
shit, that's
But like
funny.
it was stuff like that. A fucking Teen Virgin, that was another weird movie. But yeah, it was stuff like that, and now like it's at the opposite. Where now like companies like AMC, like they need creators like that. Like for all we know, AMC might just start AMC Art House and make smaller
But
theaters with indie
That
films.
I'm not saying AMC is going to be around. I don't think maybe AMC dies 10 years from now. Sure thing, let it happen. But I don't think movie theaters as a whole are going to be completely gone. I think they're always going to be around, maybe become. I mean, we talked about it before. I think there's going to they'll develop some niche category, and that'll be it. Maybe these theaters only release little indie films like that. Maybe they can't afford
Now hold
releasing
on,
Avengers movies.
Anton. I
but
do.
I don't think they're going
I
to
hear what you're saying, and actually, it's very similar to what my mom and I were talking about before this. Because for some reason, my mom likes to talk about the topics that we talk about. Right
Yo,
before I
tell,
go
tell her,
onto
tell her
podcast.
about this. We'll get her on. We'll
Have
get her
her as
on
a
as
Yeah,
guest.
my mom would not do this.
Jimmy's
but-
mom hates the words that always come out of my mouth. She'd
Yeah,
fucking report us.
She hates Chaz, dude. But to kind of bring up what she said, she was I guess having a hard time wrapping her head around the fact that movie industry might fail, and she's like, there will always be movies, and I told her, I'm like, you're right, there will always be businessmen out there who purposely are looking to make money through theaters and for a place for people to go, but we have to look at this more as I keep saying it, but more as a business. It's not going to be at all to the level that it is now. If movies are released and big blockbusters are released, if theaters still exist post-COVID, then you're right. They probably still will get released because that's money in the studio's pocket. But
I'm not even talking big studio stuff. I specifically said maybe.
But that's where I was
movies
going.
Don't get released.
That's
Okay,
where I was going. My
finish.
mom even said, she's like, there's going to always be smaller theaters. There's going to be drive-ins, especially drive-ins, because now drive-ins are popping up everywhere. People are going to start, kind of taking that market. The movie industry itself is going to completely change because of COVID. But
Yeah, I agree
Amazon,
with that.
not Amazon, I should say, AMC, they just don't. They're not going to have the money that they had pre-COVID to keep things the way that they were, and so. I honestly, personally, I hope that they do an indie push because that would be really interesting. And that would probably push me back into theaters because I kind of fell off going into movies probably like 5 years ago. I was still kind of a kid when I was still going to movies and I fell off like 5 years ago, but indie movies would push me back. And so who knows? We really can't predict it because we don't know what these business tycoons are going to be doing post COVID when everyone is allowed out of their houses again, technically. But everything is in the toilet and it's spinning and we don't know where it's going. So
You know what'll save AMC? If they fucking bring back their movie theater arcades. That'll save
they were
AMC.
the best.
The one in Clifton still has one.
Yep, they
really?
do.
The one in Willowbrook
Yeah.
does not. It upsets me. I always complain to Dougie. I'm like, bring back
Honestly,
your
in
fucking Guitar
reality,
Hero machine.
I feel like the thing that'll save AMC is quite honestly just a buyout, like a bigger company like Amazon or fucking
Amazon.
Walmart or anything, or can just buy them out and continue working
Amazon
with the
theaters.
theater industry.
It has a nice bell to it. I mean, Amazon Theaters. It sounds
Like,
nice.
Yeah, and Amazon is a perfect company because they can afford to kind of take that smaller hit that AMC
Prime
views
membership
as
gets you
a
one ticket a
giant
month.
hit.
But Kevin,
Dude,
remember
that's
what just
great. That's a
happened.
perfect marketing plan. You get more
Kevin.
people getting what?
I was gonna say, remember what just happened? We just talked about it. The stocks of AMC just fell, and so as a businessman, Jeff Bezos, he may not want to do like a buyout like that, and that goes for pretty much any businessman. Before the stocks dropped the way that they did this week, maybe that was a possibility, a buyout. That was something that could have looked forward to. But what businessman is going to put their money into a company that's kind of on the verge of dying and then watching their stocks plummet due to a streaming service? They'd rather put their money into something like that streaming service that's going to push and that's going to increase revenue and make money. AMC right now, at least right now, is not going to be the type of buyout that's going to make a businessman money.
I
'Cause, yeah,
disagree. I think if Amazon were to buy AMC, those stock prices would go right up. Amazon is one of the most secure companies in the world. They're
Might as well
always
be a country.
Amazon will have a country. They will.
Yeah, right. they're always making money. So even with AMC like dropping stock prices, like I think if Amazon were to announce that they just bought AMC, those prices would go way up, probably even more than what AMC is worth right now. You know, like honestly, man, like it might be a low key good
Yeah, but you
stock
also
purchase.
have to figure though, like Amazon would have to then license more content because they don't have a lot of original content. Most of
No,
their content is
you're
YouTube.
absolutely right, but a lot of their original content is honestly kind of low key. They got some good stuff, man. Like I've been watching The Tick, and it's a
That
pretty
is all
funny
that's
show.
funny. That's very funny.
It's a pretty funny
But
show,
here's the
dude.
thing: they
Like,
have shows. They don't have a lot of films, and this may
Well,
push them
I
to make
actually have a
movies.
film I want to
yeah,
talk about.
exactly. That just pushes them into a market that they really have been trying to get their feet wet in. You know, this is a perfect time.
I have a film I
They
wanna
don't have
mention
all the
real quick.
power with the theater industry. Go for it.
Prime just released this. I haven't watched it yet, but Prime just released this movie. It's a Amazon Prime original. It's called The Sound of Metal, and stars the guy Riz Ahmed. He's from Rogue One. He played Jake Gyllenhaal's assistant in Nightcrawler. He's the villain from Venom. Small Indian guy, small skinny Indian guy.
Yeah, I know exactly who
Yeah,
that
so,
is.
so
Okay.
he plays a metal drummer, like metal genre, the music genre, metal. He's a drummer, and he starts to go deaf, and basically the movie is just all about how he kind of copes and how he develops, and how he uses whatever capabilities he can to basically mask his talent, or hold his talent and whatever. I haven't watched it yet, but it looks really good, and it's receiving rave reviews, and I'm honestly like, I can maybe see, for this year's Oscars, maybe Prime gets their first nomination with this movie.
Yeah, man. I mean,
the way
Prime
reviews are
Prime's
going with it.
doing right things, and with their shows, they are slept on, man. One show in particular that I love. Have you guys ever seen Upload?
Never heard of it.
Okay, so I think I forget his name. He's like the guy. He looks like he's from Big Time Rush. I don't remember exactly his name. I think Jimmy's definitely watched it, but basically like it's a really fun show about a guy that dies, and it's in this alternate universe where when you die you can get uploaded into like a retirement home. It's really really interesting and a really cool idea, and they did it really well. So it's also kind of a love story, so it's a little cheesy, a little sappy, but I think it's a good kind of cheesy and sappy. That's just one example of some like one of their good shows. They also have the one with John Krasinski, Jack Ryan. I mean, I didn't see the second season, but the first one was good. They have some low key slept on good content, good original Amazon content, and just for instance, buying out AMC can really like set them on the trail into the actual theater industry, not just the TV shows and stuff like that. So I think if I was Jeff Bezos, dude, I'd be calling fucking AMC right fucking now. Even Cinemark, all that shit. I'd buy them all up, man. Because he's probably the one person that can really take the hit of COVID-19. Because dude, Amazon has been so wealthy. That he's made like what, more than double what he had in this year alone. If anybody could save the movie industry, it's probably Jeff Bezos. Maybe Facebook. Facebook's also probably a good example.
The government will not
buy the
allow
movie
Facebook
theater
to
as
buy
well.
anything. I can tell you that right now.
Really?
Dude, have you fucking not been keeping up with like all the forced times Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg have had to gone to Capitol Hill just this year alone? They hate Mark Zuckerberg for how fucked he's made both this and the 2016 election. Both Democrats and Republicans.
Good.
They fucking hate him.
Good. Fuck Mark Zuckerberg, though. He did great when Facebook originally came out, but fuck that man. He's fucked up everything.
I mean,
I don't-
not really. Kind
think-
of how Trump got elected. I mean, in terms of now, yeah, he helped Trump get elected.
After the podcast, you guys got to explain to me what like Facebook's doing with the elections, because I don't keep up with that. I have no
Yeah,
idea what it
I
could
got you.
possibly do.
Yeah, we don't need to go into that here.
I
But
said after the podcast, Ken.
I know. I'm just fucking agreeing with you. Shut up, Anton.
That's too.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything. Stupid guy. Yeah. So going back to I guess HBO and going to HBO Max, it's going to be interesting, especially how Wonder Woman does. Because for one, I think we're all seeing it together. If I'm correct, right? Maybe not Justin, because Jimmy, because he's all the way down south. But I mean, I'm going to the theaters regardless. So I'm definitely looking forward to Wonder Woman in the theaters versus on fucking stream. So
Yes, as am I.
yeah, I think it's going to be a good movie for the theaters as well. You know, I feel like most superhero movies should really be viewed on the big screen. Maybe that's just me personally, but I think this movie has the feel for something I want to see in IMAX. You know, so do you guys have any other thoughts with this, or do we want to move on?
I'm good on it. I think we've really, hashed it out, worked out well.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely come back to this topic because it's obviously still a developing story with all this stuff going on and the lawsuits with Kong.
Oh yeah,
and
Matt
fucking
is
Doom.
right. Fallout is a Prime original. I take that back. I'm excited for that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Matt's right.
So I had one last thing on the agenda that I wanted to bring up, and that's Haley Steinfeld being casted for Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye series. I know most people aren't really too excited about the Hawkeye series, but I think it's pretty cool seeing Haley Steinfeld finally being officially casted, because I think there was a lot of rumors about her even through Endgame, right?
Yeah, she was supposed to show up in Endgame and they scrapped that or some shit like that. Like she was supposed to
Yeah,
actually
that-
be in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that for a while. So I guess all that was completely true about her actually being Kate
Jeremy
Bishop.
Renner is wearing fucking hearing aids. Apparently, this takes a lot of inspiration off the 2011 Hawkeye series, which I did read in high school, and it's fucking great. I don't remember most of it, but I remember it being good.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm not super hyped for this show. I mean, Hawkeye to me is not coolest character. You know, I think out of the shows they've really announced, WandaVision's really the only one I'm like actually genuinely want to see. You know, no matter what. You know, so
I'm curious for the Hawkeye one because because in the comics Clint Barton is actually deaf. He doesn't just become deaf like he is deaf. So I wonder how they're gonna handle that, if they're gonna do it well. And two, like I would like to see like in that movie Hush we brought up a few episodes ago, where it's a horror movie from the perspective of a deaf person. I would like to see like some scenes like that where you see Clint struggling with his newfound disability, because like
yeah,
that's
that
something
could
that
be
has to
really
be new.
cool. That's a really cool plot point. I
And
like that.
they could easily write in, like for instance, he was fucking part of that explosion when the fucking New York base went down, upstate New York. He could easily say, oh, I lost my hearing during the battle, but I didn't say anything. Like that's
Yeah.
totally in character for him, because there'd been no fucking time for him to react, and he's that well trained where he, in the moment with his adrenaline, he could have gotten used to.
Yeah, especially after that fight, there's no real screen time for him
Yeah.
for us to like even
because it's that
learn
and straight to
about.
the funeral. Yeah.
So yeah, I could get behind that. Like we didn't really see much of like the right after the fight, you know, like that's kind of something I wish we kind of got to see, like some like in Game of Thrones. I don't mean to bring up Game of Thrones, but the thing that really pissed me off about after the battle of Winterfell is the fact that we don't even get to like feel what the characters are feeling, you know? Like they survived the long night, something so crazy. The dead are after them, and then we got no like episode to kind of just like sit back and like reevaluate everything, you know? So I think that could be pretty cool if they go into that into a little bit of detail in some of the shows, bringing up like the events of the Endgame, much like how Iron Man 3 dealt with a lot of like post-traumatic stress from the original Avengers. It could be really cool to bring up some of those elements, because I'm sure some of them have fucking PTSD from that fight, you know? Like that was a crazy ass fight. So so we'll see how that goes. I mean, with Hawkeye, the set photos look pretty cool. They even have Lucky the dog in it as well, and apparently it's been confirmed to be 2025, which is interesting. So I wonder how that plays in with the rest of the MCU going forward. You know, is it all in current time, or are we still in the future moving forward? You know, so Anton, are you trying to speak? No one, we can't hear you.
No, I'm not speaking at all. I think
Okay,
I don't
your
know.
thing was turning green.
Might just be ambient noise.
Yeah, your fan or some shit. I don't know. So yeah, did anybody have anything to really add to Hawkeye, or are we good on that?
We're good.
The only thing I have to add to any MCU show is WandaVision, and I'm not really looking forward to any of the rest of them. I don't really care about any of them. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it also goes to marketing. I think they've marketed WandaVision very, very well. So we'll see how that comes out. Moving forward, basically to our last segment, man. What do you guys been watching this past week?
I got through all of Big Mouth season 4 in like a few days over the weekend. My one complaint is you can definitely tell the first 3 or 4 episodes were meant to be a summer special, and that got delayed with COVID, because those 3 episodes have nothing to do with the rest of the season. They changed Missy's voice actor like suddenly midway through the show without like any explanation. And I read online that was a thing, and I thought it was related to a plot point I don't want to spoil because it has one of like the best lines in all of animation. It's so fucking funny. But yeah, they just changed her voice randomly. I actually like this season. Like, it was definitely one of the grosser seasons and out of all Big Mouth. But like, it actually, like, watching like these quote unquote kids go through, I have like anxiety and shit. Like, if you ever see the meme of Tito the anxiety mosquito, like that was something where as a kid I never really thought about like kids having anxiety and myself, and then like having them explain it in like a kid, like a wait, a kid would. I'm like, oh. That's a very cool take, and
I need to
it
watch
makes,
this, man. I really need to watch this show.
Yeah,
It
I've never
makes-
seen Big Mouth either.
It's a great show.
it
I
makes
feel
the
like
show,
everything
like,
Chaz brings up we haven't seen.
Bro, Big
every-
Mouth is blown up, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's a great show. I
It
saw
was
people
popular, yeah.
I saw people on Twitter trying to cancel it because they talk about like, oh, are there really still fans of Big Mouth when they glorify sex with underage minors? I'm like, dude, it's a fucking cartoon show that talks about the awkward sexual tendencies of fucking younger kids and adolescents who are just
Yeah, they're
learning
not the first. They're not the first show to touch
Yeah,
up on it. Like,
yeah,
look
but-
at
That's
Family
why
Guy and
I want
South
to watch
Park.
it. That's why I want to watch it, not because of like the comedic aspect, but because of I want to see the similarities and comparisons that maybe like the show portrays that I may have went through at some point in my life.
Big
I want to
Mouth-
watch it for
Big
that.
Mouth, as you watch through the seasons, does get more and more personal. Like you can tell this is Nick Kroll's like fucking diary from like when he's a kid, and that's what I like about it. Like, oh, there was some guy, I'm not gonna fucking say his name because then I'll be giving it away. But I know him, and he's like a very conservative, like religious dude, and he was like sharing on Facebook like a petition to fucking cancel Netflix, specifically because, and he used the best and then the worst example. He was like, Netflix has been putting up media like Cuties, which yes, that is fucking child pornography propaganda. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. And shows like Big Mouth, yada yada. And I fucking shared and I commented, all right, Cuties is definitely childhood exploitation film, like that just fucking it's on a silver platter, meant to be a quote unquote documentary, but it's a fictionalized documentary, so it's legitimate pornography. Big Mouth, on the other hand, is a TVMA adult animated cartoon that just happens to have children, and in itself, the show is a reflection as an adult, like in that perspective of children, of the awkward like it's what Herb said, the actual awkward sexual tendencies, and just the misnomers and the questions you have during sex. If anything, it's fucked up to say, but if my kid ever had any questions about his body when he's like 13, I'm gonna make him watch Big Mouth, because this show, especially the musical segments, does a very good job at talking about certain things like puberty and like periods. and
There's
shit like
musical
that.
segments.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
I did
hilarious.
not know that.
This season has some of the fun, especially the last song of the season is so fucking funny. But it's one of those things where like it was, and I was like defending it. I'm like, anybody who is genuinely off put by Big Mouth is a fucking pussy and is just uncomfortable with the idea of not only sex but sex education, and that itself is the problem. If Big Mouth, the content of Big Mouth bothers you, you can find the show not funny. And I met plenty of people who haven't, and there are some episodes that are stinkers. But if the actual topic of Big Mouth makes you uncomfortable, then the idea of sex education makes you uncomfortable, and that's the real issue. Because like this show, I think is should be shown in schools to a certain extent. I think certain parts. No, I'm being dead serious. Because like it's very informative, especially like the early
Interesting.
episodes.
Okay, you're hyping it up. I haven't really like heard anybody really like talking about Big Mouth, so I've never really seen it. And I for whatever reason, I don't know why, but like adult animation, it's I'm very very picky with it. Like I don't watch Futurama or fucking
Oh my god,
American
Futurama's
Dad or
fucking
anything like that.
fantastic.
It's funny. My two of my best friends, Brandon and Alto, shout out. They both got fucking matching Bender tattoos on their ass like
So
over the
thing
weekend.
is
That's the
that-
best place to put it.
Future. Oh yeah, that actually is because Bender does have a tattoo.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Fry has a
I know,
tattoo
that's
on his
I don't
arm.
know if
why.
honestly though, I don't know if I would put like I get what you're saying, Chaz, when it comes to the sex education because it's true. There's a lot for a younger audience that's at least the age of like 14, 15. This is very informative, but the show is very vulgar, like so
See,
vulgar. Like
my-
this is there's like more like like I feel like this show is a little more forgiving than South Park, but a lot of the imagery and the things that are said are so fucking insane. Like it's hilarious. All of it's hilarious, but I think it like outweighs shows like South Park because of just like it's just wild some of the shit that they
So,
say.
I-
It's really
Justin would
wild.
watch the show.
I just have to say, when it comes to the relatability of that show and how much I actually relate to it from the things that I went through growing up and
why I wanna watch it.
transitioning, it was literally like I would watch episodes and then just scenes in general where I was like, wow,
Someone else, man.
oh
Someone
my
else.
god,
Dude.
it's not just me, bro.
So-
it's one of those shows that really you can really relate to. It's great.
I have two more points on Big Mouth. One is response to Herbs, where yeah, I definitely agree. Like the vulgarity of the show does make it a problem, especially like if I were to get my way and they showed in schools. However, remember when we all saw the video and sex ed of the fucking women giving birth out her nasty hairy pussy? Weren't we all vulgar then?
saw
Like,
that
see,
actually. I never did get
low-key,
sent on that.
I actually could not sit through that video.
See,
I went out to the
exactly.
hallway because
If-
I was so grossed out.
if you're already gonna show teenagers something, they're already gonna be vulgar. Just cut out the middleman. Give them a show. Because like that's the one thing I hated about sex ed in high school was that they were showing us. And I don't give a fuck who's listening, ladies. I'm sorry, childbirth is fucking gross. All right, and look, I'll even it out. Dicks are gross looking too. Okay, cocks are some ugly looking things. But specifically,
Speak for yourself, bud. Mine's beautiful.
All right, that's Nora. Nora, comment if it's beautiful. But anyway,
All right, Kevin.
you walked yourself into that one. But
I
no,
want,
for
I
real,
want,
like
Nora,
like
I want Nora to comment right now and be like, "Nah, Kevin's is gross."
Hold on. Nora
I wouldn't
is
put it past it, to
Kev's
be honest.
cock pretty. There you go.
Damn.
Now it's in our live chat. But see, with those videos, if teenagers are expecting the vulgar reaction, then shame on you for fucking thinking they're gonna be mature because they're 14, 15. Give them something that's palatable. Number two, this is my last point on Big Mouth. They have a 9/11 episode, and I'm not gonna spoil it. It's the funniest thing. They don't make
It's hilarious.
fun of 9/11, and that's one thing. They
They do or
teeter-
don't.
They don't, but they do something kind of disrespectful, but like not directly. Like you have to watch it to understand because it involves the literal stupidest character on the show. And Herbs, you know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about. He's
it involves
Coach
that
Steve-
character. What's
Coach
up?
Steve is Coach Steve
Yeah.
is to Big Mouth what Stan's dad is to South Park. He's just
Okay, everybody. Oh, I made thick in my pants. But no, Coach Steve, he doesn't get much screen time in this season, but he does get this episode. And I'm not even kidding. The prank that gets pulled on Coach Steve at the end will actually make you sad because like the end of the episode's really
Oh.
sad. But the entire time I was laughing because if I was in that position of Aiden or whoever the gay kid is, Aiden's his boyfriend, I would have done the exact same thing. I would have done the exact same thing. It's that fucking funny.
I'm gonna have to watch this scene now, like, because I saw season 1 and 2, but I haven't seen season 3.
Season 3. is
Justin's
great.
been watching it in in our apartment, and I've listened to it and seen it in the background while I like eat food or make some dinner or whatever. And it's like I said before, like I see like similarities in growing up in the show that I went through. So I know for sure I want to watch it for those reasons. When you guys talk about the vulgarity, I mean, as a bystander to the show, one of the few things I saw in one of the episodes this season was a literal vagina surfing in a wave of blood.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that was I was like, oh, that's happening.
And you want to show this in fucking school, Chaz?
Would
Yes,
you
it
rather
was-
see an anatomical fucking vagina bleeding and be grossed out?
Or see a
I'd
cartoon
rather
one.
see none of them. Let me tell you. I'd
have
rather
to. You
see
have to
none.
one way or another.
No, you can
Bro,
opt out
no,
and,
I
and
just
hide
think-
in the
I
hallway
just
like
think
I
the
did.
way they illustrate a lot of
I
things,
did
like
the hallway.
Dude, there's scenes where like this one of the characters is talking to her vagina, who's voiced by Kristen Wiig. Like it's like it's just
Oh, Seth
so
Rogen
out.
and John Oliver in this season too. I forgot. Yeah.
I get, dude. If you show this to anyone above the age of like 35 with children, it's gonna piss. This show probably pisses off so many fucking people just because of it's just such obscure animation. I love it. This show kills me. Like there have been times where I've almost thrown up from laughing just how absolutely hilarious this show is. It's unforgiving, but it's not as unforgiving as a show like South Park where they really just go for some really fucked up controversial subject matters to talk about. Like this show isn't political, which I'm so glad it's not. It goes into a lot of awkward social commentary. There's like the introduction of a transgender character in the show. When,
Interracial dating, blackness.
yeah, like it's there's a lot. And they
Stop
touch
stealing
on it,
our men.
but they touch on it in a really. The show has a lot of heart, which is something that like people are gonna look over because of the fact that it just has such strange animation. But like I get why this show pisses off a lot of people, but not like the saying that like glorifies child
No,
sex
it
because I think
absolutely
that's
does
fucking
not.
stupid. But I
Hey,
get why.
Herbs.
What's up?
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say that when you said that it can make you sometimes uncomfortable, I have to agree. As much as I love the show and I think it's like it's like ab hurting funny. Like
Yeah.
your abs will hurt, but there are moments where I'm sitting there with the remote, like trying to decide if I should turn it off for a second
Yeah.
because of how uncomfortable some of the scenes can make you, because of how relatable they can be sometimes. Where sometimes you're watching a scene and they're having it's just dialogue. It isn't even about the animation or about like the vulgarity of a certain scene. It's just sometimes dialogue between two preteens, and you're like, it's so cringe but so real. And that's why I like the show, because they're not afraid to just say how it is and say how it was for us as we grew up. We all have these same, fucking thoughts and moments in our minds that we innately just believe are just us. We just think that we think these things, and these are things we never shared with people. And then suddenly this show is bringing about all of those little moments of your life that you kept to yourself, and it can make you just insanely uncomfortable sometimes. But it's like a really good uncomfortable too, because it kind of tells you like you're not alone. Like there were pretty much everybody growing up felt these insecurities that they're bringing up episode by episode. And I love how every episode does have its own theme, in a sense, has its own story. Like, yes, obviously it does have a plot that goes through from season to season to season, but every episode, as the characters are growing up, deal with another insecurity and another issue that they're facing as they're trying to understand their bodies. And so maybe I don't totally agree with Chaz that you should show it in schools. It is a mature cartoon, but I do believe that it has insane value, especially as kids grow up, like showing them, like, listen, like, you're not alone. Like, this is how we all felt, and it's normal to feel this way, and it's normal to think these things and to be confused. And so the show ultimately, I think, is genius. I think it's absolutely genius.
The only episode that made me legitimately uncomfortable was the one where Jesse and Missy go with Missy's mom to the lady spa, and like
Yep.
Jesse and Missy are fully drawn like naked and with like, and it's a whole musical number. That was the only one where I'm like, and like,
Yeah, that was weird. That
yeah,
was very
because but then this season kind of tops that, because like almost like every scene in camp when they're showering, all the fucking little boys are naked. In fact, Seth Rogen's cock is out at half the show, and he calls it fucking thick hog or whatever. Like it's one of those
Thick
things where they
hog,
keep
yeah.
pushing it. But yeah, that was the only time that made me uncomfortable, because like that scene with Missy and Jesse was really long. Like that was a really long part of the episode.
Well,
And they are portraying children,
Yeah,
which
like
does make it. I know it's obviously adult actors and actresses that are voicing these characters, but at the same time, we talk about Cuties and what Cuties was doing. Like, obviously, it's a totally different type of work of art, I guess you could say. I wouldn't even want to say Cuties is a work of art, but it is right. There
Had
is
to laugh at
there.
that. Oh my god.
But it is tough to watch when you see these, in a sense, children being depicted naked on a TV show. I get it. It's very difficult and hard to watch.
yeah, that was
For,
the
I
only thing
would say,
couldn't
most
stomach.
people. I did end up skipping that.
and it didn't
Who's
help.
laughing?
That,
Like, is that
Honestly,
Kevin?
I saw a meme on Instagram. I'm
it
sorry.
also didn't help that like literally every woman in that scene had like a massive bush for some reason. Like they went to town giving everyone pubic hair.
All right, I think it's time to move on from this, but I'm definitely interested, and I will probably give the show a watch this week.
I think I'm gonna start the next season. To be honest, I haven't seen season 3.
Dude, please let
Jimmy,
me know
what
when,
do-
you,
what do-
when you- when you get to 9/11 episode.
Jimmy, what have you been watching?
Nothing, man. I literally go
Really?
to work and I go home and I
that's
sleep.
crazy,
Not even
this
porn,
guy.
dude.
Dude, to be honest, I haven't watched porn in probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
You know we're on a podcast that requires viewing something for discussion.
yeah, I don't know, but
I watched
he
Riley
asked the
Reed get her
question-
asshole spread the other day. It was
I
fantastic.
felt like not answering that question was worse than answering it. So,
Watch
figure
the
the answer.
ceiling as I go to
Film is
sleep.
film.
Okay, so I will go next. The show that I've been watching is Queen's Gambit, and I believe it deserves all the hype it gets because it is fucking awesome. And
What's it
that's-
about?
it's basically about Anya Taylor-Joy. She plays this girl named Elizabeth Harmon, and she's just like this masterful chess player. It's like she's like literally the best in the world, and she like goes into these fucking tournaments and shit like that, and she goes to Russia and shit and shit, and it's really fucking awesome. And even if you don't like chess, the show is still fucking awesome. Definitely give it a watch. It is
If you
great.
like, oh my bad, I was just gonna add.
No,
if
go
you-
for it. Go for it.
If you like history, it's just it's fictional. I actually thought this was based on a true story, and then I found out it wasn't. I was kind of pissed off because it was like I wanted it to be
Yeah,
real.
it really
It's
does
good.
feel like a real story.
It
I
does.
definitely agree.
It's during like it's not like during like a fictional time. It's during the like height of the Cold War. So the fact that like the big bad that she's going after, like apparently, I know that chess wasn't invented in Russia. I think it was India that made chess, and but the Russians, especially at that time, were like the kings of they were the kings of chess. And this is just Anna Taylor's story, Anna Taylor-Joy story of just like she's the best there ever was. She goes from playing like low level chess with some guys who were like semi good at chess to playing with some of the best people in the world, and then she goes against this Russian dude who's the greatest there ever was at that time. And with the Cold War setting, it just makes sense, the Americans versus the Russians, and they're doing everything they can to stop her, because the strategic way that the Russians kept winning all these competitions, I forget what the word is, but they all work together. Like if one of the Russians is not going to make it, because sometimes they'll stop mid-game and they'll write down the
Yeah.
next move, and then they'll leave for the night, and then they meet up with other
Yeah,
chess
and then they
players,
go
like,
over
okay,
it. They go over
and they
it
go
all.
up and they go over every single step as to what this woman could possibly do, and they talk about how they could counteract her movements. It's fascinating,
Yeah.
because the Cold War is just such an interesting war, and I love history, and just the setting is beautiful. The acting is great.
Yeah,
and,
Anya Taylor-Joy was phenomenal in this show. Like she was outstanding. I would say and coming from I'll be honest, I thought I was good at chess, and then I realized there's like actual legitimate like different strategies and shit they talk about. Like the Queen's Gambit, the name of the show is a type of strategy that people use. So I was really dumbfounded when I realized, man, I fucking suck at chess compared to all these people. So that was really cool, especially from someone that likes chess as much as I do. So yeah, I really enjoyed the show, and it's only 7 episodes. It's a limited series. Like there's really no commitment at all to watching this show. So if you got a couple hours, it is well worth the watch. And that's all I gotta say about that. Fucking definitely watch it. So with that, I mean, Anton, Justin, what have you guys been watching?
I got a few things, so I'll just rapid fire real quick. I like that we do this part of the podcast because it gives me ideas of things I want to watch and need to
I
watch
love this
later.
part
on.
of the podcast. As
And
well.
a few weeks ago, Kevin, you watched American Beauty. That's a
You
film
saw
I had
it?
never seen before, so I really want. And I came across it.
Fuck yes, I'm so
Across-
happy you saw it. That movie's so good.
So, well, the way I got to it was me and Justin actually watched a few episodes of the new, very vulgar, very R-rated Harley Quinn show on HBO Max. going back to the HBO Max conversation we had. That show was a pleasant surprise, all focused on Batman villains. And I have a strong feeling that a lot of parents are gonna scroll HBO Max just to like shut their kids up, and they find this show and they put the show on, and in the first 5 minutes you have Harley Quinn saying "fuck" like 19 times.
Oh
So
yeah, I heard
Damn,
about
I
yeah,
haven't seen
it's,
that.
and Kaylee Cuoco, Cuckoo Kachu. I don't know how to say her last
Cuckoo,
name.
Kachu, I'm the
The
walrus.
girl from Big Bang Theory, she voices Harley Quinn, and it's a really funny show. Honestly, it's a really good new original take on Batman villains. Batman's only in 2 seasons so far. I watched the first 6 episodes. It's very funny. I think it's if you're a deep Batman fan, you're deep into the lore. A lot of the jokes will make sense to you. If you're not, if you're just a casual Batman fan, a lot of jokes will go over your head, much like the Lego Batman movie.
Damn,
But
I
yeah,
gotta
that's
watch
something
this
everyone
too. So
yeah, that's something that everyone should go watch. And as I was perusing HBO Max, I came across American Beauty, and I watched it, and I really did like it. And it was a very shocking ending. Justin was telling me throughout the
Yeah.
whole time that I'm gonna be shocked by the ending. I kept trying to predict it. Um, it was a nice twist. I was not expecting what happened at the end. I won't spoil it for anyone who's listening or will listen in the future. I'm not a huge Kevin Spacey fan, but he was amazing in this movie, and I understand why he
agree,
won the
completely
Oscar
agree.
for it. I love his sarcastic, condescending, just attitude the entire movie. It's amazing.
And I just
And
love the
because
scenes of like him and his family like eating dinner and shit. Like everything just felt so great. You just felt his almost descent into just giving a zero fucks at the end of the movie, and then eventually, like
well, the movie is all
changes,
about like what everyone sees and idolizes as an American Beauty. Everyone in the movie basically just lets go of all their responsibilities, and that was the beauty in their eyes. Being able to live free and do whatever you please. Um, Now, the next movie I watched was also starring Kevin Spacey, and one because I'd never seen it before. I knew Kevin Spacey was in it, and I always wanted to watch it, and that is The Usual Suspects. Boy, was I totally disappointed. I didn't even finish it. I didn't even get through the first hour. I watched exactly 35 minutes of it, and I got distracted halfway. Like I got distracted at that point in the movie, and once I was done doing whatever I was doing, I just had no interest in going back to it at all. I was not into the movie. I was not intrigued by it. I was not into anything that was going on. I wasn't into any of the characters. I was only into Benicio del Toro's character slightly. It was just a very I don't even know what I have to say about the movie at all. I mean,
interesting. That's definitely a hot take. I mean, it's definitely renowned as like a really good movie. Granted,
going into it, the only thing I knew about it was that one scene where they all line up. That is the
yeah,
only
that's
scene
what
in the movie
everybody
I've ever
knows.
seen. Whenever I hear about this movie or see it in documentaries, discussing this movie, that's the one scene they show. And that scene lasted 2 minutes, and I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting it to go on a little longer,
Well, I
but
think the biggest thing about that scene was that it was all like pretty much done on the spot. It wasn't scripted. It was super just like go with the flow. I know there's a word
that's what I
for it.
was told by Justin, but I was not into it in the slightest. I had no interest at all in the movie. It was boring. It was very boring, and I'm not gonna finish it. I have no interest in going back to it. Um, and with that said, I actually have a good way. If you're ever lost and watching new movies and you don't know what to watch a movie. Say I watched American Beauty, and you don't know what to watch next. You want to explore a new movie. Watch a movie that has a similar actor. So The Usual Suspects has a similar actor. That's Kevin Spacey. After I watch The Usual Suspects, maybe I'll watch a movie with Benicio del Toro. So I'll watch either Guardians of the Galaxy or Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and that has Johnny Depp. And then I'll watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. If you get what I'm saying, you watch a movie that has a similar actor, and that's how you never run out of a new movie to watch. You never get stuck. You use that method, and you'll never run out of a new movie to watch.
It's funny. I can't do that. I always have to just watch randomly my movies. Like so, I didn't. I'll briefly talk about this, and then Justin, you can go. But I
I do
saw
have two more things. So
go for it. I saw Citizen Kane for the first time a couple days ago. Thought it was pretty fucking boring. Not gonna lie. And then today, actually, I rewatched The Revenant, and I liked it a lot more than I did the first time around. So like it just goes to show, like just because the ratings are super high doesn't mean that you're gonna like the movie personally. And so I can agree with you there because I don't really like maybe we could talk about this later, but I don't really think Citizen Kane was amazing. Granted, it was in 1941, so obviously it was a
Could be
lot
time
different.
scene, could be the
Yeah, it
time
was a lot different in its time. But like watching it now, almost like 80 years, right? Yeah, 80 years almost. It it definitely doesn't give me the same vibe as probably what it did for people that watched it right away. You know, so.
Mhm. And then
But
the next thing I started was the TV show on Hulu and FX, Legion. All about the Legion, the X-Men character, Professor X's son. Um, it's a show. It's only 3 seasons, but that not because of any lack of interest in the show. That's all as long as it took to tell the story. It's 3 seasons. Very highly received show by critics, but not watched by many people. This is the third time I tried starting it, and the reason that is because it's a show you need to pay attention to every word of dialogue spoken, every scene happening. You have to pay attention. It all makes sense and adds up to something bigger. And the first 2 times I tried watching it, I never got past the second episode because I would always watch it super late at night when I'm, groggy and just not into it, like just going to bed. I finally started it a few days ago with the intent that I'm really going to finish it. It's only like 27, 30 episodes, something like that, each an hour long. I'm currently on episode 5, probably going to watch that right after this. I'm loving it. I mean, the X-Men are, I'm going to qualify them as one big superhero because it's hard to say which one is whatever. But the X-Men is like probably my top 3 favorite superheroes. My favorite storylines, characters, whatever have you. So Legion is a really good show. I'm getting into it. Things are starting to pick up. Just 5 episodes in, so I love it so far. And then the last thing I'm doing right now is continuing my quest for the Uncharted series. I'm currently halfway through Uncharted 2: Among Thieves. I just started chapter 17. For all of you who've played it out there, I just got done the section in the game where you're traversing across the moving train, and I died about 35 times. The game is very unforgiving. For both the first game and this game are both just extremely difficult for whatever reason. I play
Fuck
on
the
normal.
first one. You're gonna hate the end boss fight. You're gonna fucking hate it. It's a pain in the ass.
The first game,
Yeah, the end of the first
I
game.
already
sucks.
finished it. I'm
Oh,
on the
fuck.
second game now.
Alright, never mind. The second one isn't that bad at the end.
Well, the second one, I mean, I died 35 times on this train. I mean, my God, it's fucking
Really? On the train
impossible.
part?
I hate it. It's oh my God, Chaz. The ending of the train scene where you fight the dude with the sleeveless dude, he just eats bullets. I could watch the bullets go through him and hit the other side of the wall. Oh my God, I
You
don't
might
want to
have
even
to
get
shoot
into
him in
it.
certain
I was ready to break my
spots.
TV. It was impossible. But anyway, I like the game nonetheless, but I die in both games so much that it's not annoying to the point where like it takes me out of it, but it's just annoying. But I do like the games nonetheless, and they're great. And that's what I've been up to this past week. Got a lot going on.
Yeah, man, it sounds like you've been doing a lot lately. At least in terms of cinema and entertainment, which is always fucking awesome to hear.
Yes, sir.
So what about you, Justin? What have you been watching?
Just so we don't get, any hate in the comments about the fact that we have been supporting Kevin Spacey movies. Obviously he the dude's kind of a monster from the stories that have been brought out.
Yeah, no, Ron, that's something good
he
to
was-
bring up.
He was my favorite actor at one point. I loved that dude. Every single movie he was in, I
Me
was
too, man. I think it came from House of Cards. I
Dude,
loved
and
him in House of Cards.
that's what I'm about to get to. I'm starting to rewatch House of Cards with Mackenzie. Fucking love that show, dude. It's so good. Like even if I've been trying to convince Anton to do it, and I get like he's not huge into politics, but you don't really need to study like all different facets of the government to understand what the hell's going on. As long as you understand like broad strokes of politics, like you could do like maybe like a week of like light work studying just to understand a lot of the terms
Yeah.
that are used, or like positions of chief of staff, all these
Yeah,
other
it does.
White
It
House.
does well to bring an everyday user
Yeah,
into like the
yeah.
understanding of politics
And
in
it's
a
just
bigger way.
I love that show so much. The cast is ridiculous.
I agree.
Just everything, and and Anton even said, he's like, oh, David Fincher like is a co-creator of the show, right? And I was like, yeah, and he was like, this looks like something David Fincher would make, which is true, because like everything from like the color, like the tone of the film or the TV show, everything looks like a little darker and gray, like
Mhm.
it's like
like a David Fincher, Zack Snyder esque type thing, but obviously more of the intellectual side of David Fincher. And dude, just Kevin Spacey, man, he was ridiculous in that role with the fourth wall breaking, which I fucking
I
dude.
loved it. I think in terms of fourth wall breaks, he did it so well
He did it
in the
so well,
show, and it felt
everything,
great.
the small nuances in the show, and like the
Yeah,
whole
you're
show,
gonna make me want to rewatch this guy.
the whole show is just about this dude who was a whip in the Senate, I think, and he's a Democrat, which is hilarious because you would think today they would want to make him a Republican, because I just found that really funny because the dude's like a murderous psychopath, and you would think Hollywood would want to make him part of the the right just because.
I wouldn't say he's a psychopath. He's just
I
willing
think
to do anything to get to the top.
yes, and I can consider that a psychopath, someone who's okay with straight up murdering people and like goes about his everyday
Yo,
life.
speaking of the beginning of season 2, I'm not gonna
Dude,
spoil
Kenzie and I
anything,
just
but-
watched it yesterday. Dude, I was looking at Kenzie's face, waiting for him to react. To it. It
Yeah.
was hilarious, but
When that happens, dude, my jaw
Dude.
literally dropped. I was
Dude.
not expecting that.
I remember sitting in my living room with my father and watching that. I had my two brothers in the room and my dad, and we watched that scene, and I screamed out loud. Like, that was just nuts. But anyway, just such a good show, so smart, and like I said, the nuances. Every time he would the dude is just trying his very best just to get the president's position. That's what he wants. He wants to be president of the United States. He wants to be the leader of the free world. He wants power. He's a
It
man.
doesn't even seem like he starts with that though. I feel like it's almost a progression.
No,
I
it
feel
is.
like
No,
at the
no, he does.
beginning of
That's
the
what I said.
film, he's basically just trying to get his respectability back. Like, I don't think presidency is on his mind. Maybe in the
dude,
back of it.
Dude, I don't even think, because the first episode when the president is being it's at the president's inauguration. He's like, look at all the smiling people behind him, and look where I am, and he waves, and he talks about how it's always about the ascension in politics, how you have to, as long as you surround yourself with powerful people that are above your ranks, you will get there eventually. Maybe that wasn't his goal at first to 100% be president, but that was on his mind from day one. Like, that was his goal he wanted to get Secretary of State, and he got screwed over, and then he schemed his way to vice presidency,
Yeah.
and then he becomes president of the United States. Like, that was his goal.
Yeah,
So
that
someone
show
to
is so smart.
he goes as far as to like bring back like a fucking alcoholic congressman and builds him up to run for governor, and then straight murders him just to get ahead. Like, it's just stuff like that it just blows my mind. The fourth wall breaking, every time someone will walk into his office, or like they'll be his secretary will come and be like, oh, so and so is here for you, and he'll be like, then he'll talk to the audience and say, this person wants this and this from me, and this is going to happen. And then once that character comes into the room and says exactly what Frank Underwood, that's his name, this Kevin Spacey's character, guessed they would do or say, he looks straight at the camera for like a split second.
Yeah, and then just does like that
Dude,
look that he always does.
I love that. Such a smart utilization of fourth wall breaking in a TV show. I love that show to death. But like I said, not condoning any of the atrocities that Kevin Spacey as a person committed. The dude was clearly a monster. Even people on the House of Cards show said that he was like sexually harassing a lot of the people on the show, which is just awful because the man, so much talent in an individual, and he just squandered it by just being a fucking pig. And I hate
What's he
that
up
so
to
much.
these days?
He's not doing
a
anything.
spell, or
Yeah, he's
what-
not
where's
doing
he at?
anything,
He had a
dude.
massive
he's
settlement
not
for
sitting-
those
he's not-
lawsuits,
he's
and
not-
now he's just
he's-
chilling.
Yeah, he got out of all the lawsuits. I think he paid settlements and stuff. And the only
His
two
acting
things
career is fucking over though. So
Well, yeah.
the
we
only
knew
two
that.
the only two things that he has done over the last 2 years, and he's probably going to do it again on Christmas Eve, 2 years straight, back to back in 2018. He posted a video of you could look it up if you're interested. I don't know if you've seen it, Kevin. It's called "Let Me Be Frank." Fucking weird. It's him.
no, I haven't.
It's him as the Frank Underwood character, and he talks about how like you couldn't get rid of him, and how even though you've heard all these things, you don't believe them, and that you miss him and all this stuff, and you can't
He's
can't
very
walk
full of
away.
himself.
Like, it's so strange.
Huh,
Like,
I didn't
it's
know
so
that.
weird. And then he did it again a year later, and it's him talking again about like random shit. And he's probably going to do it again watch out for that for Christmas Eve. But you could look up those two videos. They were posted Christmas Eve 2018, Christmas Eve 2019, and I'm pretty sure he'll probably do it again. But yeah, just like, like I said, just an absolute atrocity, and I am so upset that someone so talented had to be such a pig and just a bad person. It's really upsetting because I love
Yeah,
the guy.
man,
This
that
is
shit really fucking pisses me off,
Kevin
dude. Especially
Spacey.
because it sounds like you were just as big of a Kevin Spacey fan as I was, dude. At one point, he was like literally one of my favorite actors solely because of House of Cards, man. Like that show really made me a Kevin Spacey fan, and fuck him
Kevin
at the end
Spacey
of the
to
day.
Kevin Spacey to white people was what Bill Cosby was to black people. Like the
Yeah.
fact that someone that they saw as like
Yeah.
a god, like Bill Cosby did so much for the black community, and that dude was realized to be
To
a
think
fucking
that Hannibal
monster.
Buress was the one that broke that story too.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Like there's just that whole like it's heartbreaking, man. Like that like hurts the culture, you know what I mean? And that's the type of stuff that just breaks my fucking heart. But we're past it. I still will appreciate his work as art, and I know people will be like, "Oh, how could you support the work of a monster?" But like that's just not how it should be seen. Like I still appreciate the artwork that is Kevin Spacey's work, but as a person, as a human being, I think the dude should go to hell, and it's awful that he committed those things. And I do not, I don't
Yeah.
stand for stuff like that.
It's hard. It's
but-
hard to watch his stuff objectively, knowing that he's
yeah, man.
a
Like you
complete
watch it
piece of
now,
shit.
and like, damn, this dude was talented, but fuck you for being a monster, and it sucks. But House of Cards, amazing show. They should make more shows like that. The only show that you can really compare that to is what was that show with Charlie Sheen's father? It was the White House show. I can't remember on the top of my head.
The West Wing.
West Wing. Yeah, it's a similar show where it's like they teach you the broad strokes of politics and make it interesting. This show is just that on steroids with just some like the show just gets wild, like murders,
Definitely
conspiracies,
does.
and it just teaches you like politics is a dirty game, and everything that happens in the show, all the dirty deals that are made, just makes you think like, damn, are politicians that are talked about on TV like doing the same thing? And the answer is yes. And it just it crawls under your skin that you're just realizing that so many of these politicians are just doing things for the public eye just to get ahead, just to gain money and power, and just there's just so much to gain from this show. So I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's a smart show, and I at some level there's a lot to learn from the show as well. So I'm actually really glad you brought that up because I was a huge fan of that show when it first came out. So definitely really cool. And honestly, man, I want to fucking rewatch it now because I remember the first I would probably say the first 3 seasons, the ones with Kevin Spacey, are like up and beyond, like so good. So I will definitely give that another watch sooner rather than later. And I know Nora will like that too because she's all into politics and stuff. So with that, do you guys have anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Episode 7 of A Teacher airs at midnight, so I'm gonna watch that.
Oh wow, cool! You got like an hour, dude. Yeah, you're fucking obsessed with that show.
I mean, is it really obsessive if it's just the release of a next?
I've been saying he's just
I'm
Anton's
just
been
playing
having a lot of conversations about teacher-student relationships, and it's kind of freaking me out. I feel like he has a fetish that we need to
Yeah,
like.
it makes me
stop.
think he's probably
I
had a
mean-
couple
Weird, man.
teachers.
I'm
Like maybe
I'm kinda-
are
His
you
whole Pornhub history is now like teachers punishes naughty student. Or
are you
something
trying to
like that,
reach
man.
out to us?
I
Anthony?
know,
I
I'm
got-
kind of
I got
worried.
2
I feel like
points on
Anton's
that.
like.
I got 2
I
points
think-
on that. One, Justin just likes to say anything Justin just likes to say anything that incriminates me at any way at all, so he's just saying it. And 2, I actually have a friend who's watching it, and he said, "I absolutely hate this show, but I absolutely can't stop watching it." So
Anton, if
Well,
you
it's
need
called
Called
an
a
interve-
fetish. It's exactly.
Anton, if you need an intervention, just let us know. If this is a cry for help,
here for you,
please,
man.
Just let me know because it's kind of worrisome how much.
I
you
mean,
talk
rather
about
let
than
us
just
know.
like
We'll-
shitting on
we'll-
someone
we'll
for
air it
watching
for
it, you
everybody,
just
too.
watch it yourself. With new episodes coming out, it's not really an obsessive thing if I'm just watching it as it releases.
We're not kink
Okay,
shaming,
sure,
Anton. Don't
sure.
worry.
We love you, Anton.
We
and
can
with
all
that,
accept you for who you are.
with that, I definitely think it's time to wrap up. If you guys are in with Anton, you guys should go watch the show with him. He'll probably be streaming from his Pornhub account. With that, all right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Episode 13, the big 1-3. And yeah, thank you guys. We'll see you next episode.